Good morning back.
Good morning. We're so excited to have you here this morning. Good morning. Welcome. Happy first day of spring.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. We just want to welcome everybody to the Black Marriages Matter Symposium. You know, this is where we actually celebrate black marriages in recognition of National Black Marriage Day. So today we're going to be your hosts all through the day. I'm James Greene.
And I'm Cynthia Greene, and we are America's favorite couple. And we are the founders of Marriage Built to Last. And I was thinking this morning, in 2 weeks, we will have been in business for 7 years, y'all. I think that's something to celebrate. Give us a virtual hand clap. But thank you guys for joining us. And we just want to tell you a little bit about why we're doing this today. James and I, we have a passion for marriage, and we do things with marriage all year long. But we know that you can't have a strong marriage. You can't have a strong marriage affects everything around you, or a poor marriage affects everything around you. So this symposium is really to encourage all of our people to support and have healthy marriages, so that they'll have a healthy family, which will help us have healthy communities, which helps us have a stronger and healthier black economy. Right. So that's what this is all about today. So we welcome you. We thank you so much for being here with us today.
Right, and what it's about, we just want to impact our community, because we know that Black lives matter. But where does that start? That starts with the Black family. That starts with maybe the Black marriage, you know, or even if you're a single mother or a single father, it starts with the head and it flows its way down. You know, that's why we invited, local politicians, we invited pastors, just so, even Black business owners, just so we can impact the community, and help build our economy up.
Right, and it's not just about impacting our community here in the state of Maryland, which is where we are, but it's impacting your communities too. We actually have someone on here from Nigeria, Africa. So, he's impacting his community and all that they're doing over there for the Black community. We got people on here from Tennessee that I know is on here, and it's probably from other states also. So we just want everybody to come together, and let's find out what we can do to continue to grow the Black economy and let it be stronger than ever. So right now, we're introducing our first speaker. Actually, we're going to have prayer.
Open up in prayer
led by Pastor Bernard Blackman, and then him and his wife will be speaking this morning on the church and marriage, and they are from Kingdom Seekers Fellowship Church, and we just want to say that they are personal friends of ours. We love them so much, y'all. We miss seeing people in person. We really, I do. I really miss seeing people in person, being able to give them a hug, because normally this would have been live in a church somewhere. And so it's okay. Virtual hugs, everybody.
And you notice she said she misses people in person. She didn't even mention me, like, I don't miss anybody.
I wanted to speak for myself, because my husband knows I'm a social person. I'm always attending social events, networking events, people's birthday parties, gatherings, just a good old cookout. Love to go to family and friends' house. James would rather sit home and watch television. Let's be real. So that's why I was speaking for myself. All right, so everybody, Pastor Bernard and Pastor Vicky, go ahead and take it over.
Amen. Thank you for having us, and we'll go in prayer. Father, we truly thank you. We honor you for blessing us to be here today. We do know that you have ordained marriage, and that you are the God of love, and you can show us how to love. And I pray as we go into this symposium today, that you will first of all bless Cynthia and James for the idea and the heart that they have for marriage. We pray that you will continue to bless all the work that they do, that you will bring this work towards great men. And we are praying that from the youngest to the oldest, those that have been married a few years to those that have been married 50 or more, let them have a heart to hear. Allow this message to go out. We pray that you will strengthen marriage. We stand against everything that comes against marriages. We're praying that all things will work together for your good. And we're praying that husbands will learn to love their wives as Christ loved the church, as well as the wives seeing that they would reverence and honor the husband. We're praying that you will make us one. We're praying that you will strengthen that marriage is about the fall. We pray that you will encourage hands, asking you just to have your way. We thank you and we honor you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Pastor Bernard, real quick, I'm going to mute everybody, and I need you guys to just unmute yourself, and you're on speaker view, so you're the only ones on the screen right now. So
All right.
I'm going to mute everybody, and then you just hit your unmute button.
All righty, I have unmuted.
All right.
So you want us to go ahead and start?
Absolutely.
Amen. Thank you, James and Cynthia Greene, for having us. My name is Bernard Blackman, and this is my lovely gift, my good thing. We call each other Mess. This is our mess through all tests. Lady Nikki Blackman, and we are the pastor of Kingdom Seekers Fellowship Church, and we have a ministry, Keep the Fire Burning, and it's just our desire to pour into marriage. And so our task today has to come to talk about the state of marriage from the church point of view. If y'all can just allow us to speak on the behalf of the church and the word for today. And I just want to disclaimer the things that we're about to say. The disclaimer is, I know about the separation, we know about divorce, and we know remarriage and all of that happens, and sometimes it just has to be. But listen, the original intent for marriage is lifelong, lasting commitment. And the church needs to be able to teach that. And that's the viewpoint that God has given for the church to tell the world that it is to be a lifelong, lasting commitment. Amen. If you go read Malachi chapter 2 and Matthew 19, in Malachi chapter 2, God says he hates the putting away. Remember the disclaimer. We know sometimes it happened, but we need to still keep in mind the original intent is for lasting commitment. And in Matthew 19, it says that Moses allowed the writing of divorcement, but from the beginning, it was not so. All right. So God wants us to be married. Many people, you can chime in anytime. Many people take marriage as a convenience. If I get into it and it don't work out, I can just get out and find somebody else. And that's the wrong mentality. As we are selecting partners, as we are trying to find people that we need to find a person who's in it to win it, who's going to be in it for the long haul, who's really going to say, I don't care how good, and that's truly believing in the vows to death do we part. We're going to work on this thing till it comes to pass. And the church needs to continue to preach and declare it's a lifelong commitment.
So I'll chime in here. So what has worked for us, I'll say this: quitting was never an option.
Well, it was the first time.
Quitting was never an option. We always looked at it as we had to figure it out. Whatever the problem was, we had to say, okay, how do you figure this situation out? So quitting was never an option. We was committed to the marriage, and that's what caused it to work for us. Not that we didn't have problems, because we had problems, but we had to figure out how do we work through this problem. And with the help of God, we was able to stay committed to the marriage.
So again, the state of the church point of view is that marriage is supposed to be a lifelong commitment. And so this commitment is shown in 4 ways. And we're going to be out of you, but I didn't even start the cons. Y'all pretty sure don't let us go overtime. The commitment shows in 4 ways. I'm just going to talk to them briefly. Really, I don't believe we got going to be too long. It's a sacred commitment. We need to understand that marriage is a serious commitment. We need to understand also that marriage is a sorrowful commitment. And 4, marriage is a satisfying commitment. So let's back up and talk about them a little bit. Marriage is a sacred commitment. We need to understand man did not create marriage. God did. A lot of things we're talking about you can find in Genesis chapter 2. God brought Eve to Adam. And God established marriage. So man should, when it comes to marriage, man should depend on God for the who, for the what, for the when, and for the how.
That's right.
And this day, man, all of a sudden they want to make laws on who can marry, who can be married, and what can be done. But we need to understand from the church point of view, this is a sacred thing. And I can't just go into this figuring out marriage or how I'm going to do it. God, what do you have to say? And the word of God is full of God's wisdom and understanding about what marriage is. If I was in church and preaching, I would say, somebody say it's sacred. But, all right. I'm trying
Say
to
it's sacred.
We're just going to talk today, all right? Understand it's a sacred thing. You need to learn to honor your marriage. You need to learn how to reference each other in your marriage. And that's a child of God you're married to. That's a treasure in God's eye. And when you realize that she's a treasure, that he's a treasure, and when you
Bernie
realize
just said
that
that.
God is the one that set all of this and
Just for
he's
now.
the one in place, that's when you need to begin to say, okay, God, show me how to love her. Show me how to love him. How do we honor one another?
We put emblems around our house. Like we have our Bible, we have oil, and we treasure those things. Our children are not allowed to touch those things because that's the Bible. That is God's word. You better not touch that. And that's how we should treat our marriage, just like we treat those things as sacred. We should treat our marriage in that same manner. We should not want to hurt our marriage. We should not want to damage our marriage because that is sacred. Our marriage is sacred before God, and we should treat it that tender when it comes to our marriage.
The guy who is working on our uploading our courses to Think If It, him and his fiance are on here in Nigeria. That's who's on here from Africa.
All right, marriage is a serious. People take marriage frivolously, as I see that, right? They jump in and out, doing whatever. But why was it serious? Look, God had to put Adam to sleep. God had to form an operation and take a rib from him. He told him he was going to have to leave his mother and parents and father, and that's a serious thing. And so when you're in your relationship, you need to take it serious. You need to not just haphazardly go through this and realize that this is something important to God. A person will leave their family for you. A person has left the state for you. A person has given up some of their dreams for you. And you got to realize this is so serious and it's not a playing game. It is not just something I can just flow with it haphazardly. I don't know. That's my word today. Haphazardly. You got to take that out of your mind and realize this is a serious commitment.
So how do I take those serious commitments? When I hear my spouse say something, I don't just brush it off. Those things mean something to me. And I'll just give a case in point. But Bernard used to tell me all the time, Vicki, when I'm talking to you, you act like you don't hear me. And I used to say, well, I hear you, I just don't respond. And I didn't take him serious. I was like, okay, he really mean this thing that I'm not responding to him. While I'm washing dishes, I'm trying to cook. But at the same time, he was trying to tell me I want to communicate with him. And I wasn't taking my marriage seriously. And what I was doing is damaging the relationship because we wasn't effectively communicating. And until I stopped and had to understand, okay, this guy really thinks communication is important. I had to slow down, take my marriage seriously, and realize, okay, communication is important. That's one of the love languages for him. He wants to communicate, and you have to understand, I got to take this serious. I got to understand his love language, and that's when we begin to effectively grow. Gary Chapman wrote that book, Love Language. If you don't have it, everyone should get that in their library.
On my part, when we got married, I was active in church. I was in church on Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and I was going on. And she was trying to tell me, hey, you're not single anymore. You can't be at church. And I was like, you ought to be glad that you got a man of God that's in church and doing all the work for the Lord. But when I had to take it serious, that listen, my wife comes. Yes, I'm saved. I love the Lord. But I had to take it serious. She was being left alone. And when I took it serious to hear that I can leave her alone and learn how to adjust my marriage, that's when things begin to really grow. So, go ahead.
When you take things like a surgeon, when you take things seriously, you understand the impact of it. This is a life or death situation. When a surgeon go in the room, he take that operation seriously, understanding that this may
solved. We get in marriage, you don't squeeze the toothpaste right. You don't shake the bed covers. All right? You don't do that. And then we just give up and quit. But this things can be solved. When you both have the mindset, we're in it to win it. We can work it out. We're going to talk it out. We're going to fix this. Listen, I really believe when you have two people with the mindset that realize how honorable marriage is, there's no problem that can't be solved.
So he want me my own toothpaste.
Right. That's how we solve it. I like to squeeze it from the bottom
Oh, come on.
Squeeze it in the
Middle, come on.
And it wasn't that we were breaking up. What I learned is I buy her toothpaste and I buy me, and it's solved. It's simple like that. And
But he is gonna shake my tooth.
that's right. So the thing is, no matter even it's a hurting thing. It's a hurting thing. Infidelity is a hurting thing. When somebody step out of the marriage, but guess what?
No, we're not asking questions until they're done.
All right. Unforgiveness it just rings in your heart, but from the church point of view, we have to learn how to forgive. We have to learn how to understand. We have to learn how to work this situation out. It's a solvable commitment. Your marriage could be saved. If you're on here and you're going through this, if you listen to this later, whatever your problem is, go get some counseling. We were both Christian strong in the church, and we had to learn. Now, we don't know how to talk to each other. We need somebody else. And I can name you the countless of people that we went to help us solve our problems.
And it worked. It
Yes.
worked. It worked. But what we had to do, not only get the counseling, you have to apply the counseling. It does, we can go to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 counselors, but if you don't apply what they have taught you, it's never gonna work. And then going back to the solvable piece of it, I always used to I like to analyze things and use, what do you call it? Illustrations. There you go. Thank you. I like to use illustrations. If you keep running a red light, you may get away with it, but eventually you're gonna get a ticket. But if you change your behavior and you stop running the red light, you may not get that ticket, or you can work through, with the system, and they won't cause you the penalty that you would normally get. It's a change in behavior that you have to do if you want to change what you're doing in your marriage. And it's the same thing. If you keep cheating, if you keep lying, if you keep doing certain things, you're not going to solve your marriage. But if you change your behavior, it will change things in your marriage.
So good.
Sensitive to each other's needs and to be able to feel what the message each other is sending. All right? So marriage is a sacred commitment. Marriage is a serious commitment. Marriage is a solvable commitment. And I said for lasting, marriage is a satisfying commitment.
Come on.
Listen, God created the marriage for mutual enjoyment. Too often, we find our satisfaction in other things. We find satisfaction in our friends. We find satisfaction in our family. Men, we find satisfaction in our sports, going golfing. Women find satisfaction in our shopping, going outdoor activities. But your most satisfaction is supposed to be in each other. If you're depending on a video game and going out bowling to get your release, and you can't find release in your home, you got to realize there's a problem. If the moment, yes, Christ should be our main joy. God should be our main, but your next place of joy should come from your spouse. Sure. And if you can't find satisfaction, if your spouse, and I'm not just talking about sex. I'm not just talking about in the bedroom, but you have to learn how to find satisfaction with each other outside the bedroom, in the day, sending sweet texts, having a sweet phone call, being able just to have a conversation, having that. I know James and Cynthia talk about all this, that pillow talk time. Before you sit there and you wake up in the morning. I'm just the joy that before we go to bed, we fall asleep talking to each other, having to wake each other up. When we wake up in the morning and we got the bed out of to talk to each other in the morning before we go out about our day, my satisfaction, being able to go with her. How are we on time? I got about 5 more minutes. We're almost done. Listen, find your satisfaction in your spouse. Learn how to enjoy one another. Have a date night. Go ahead.
And one other thing I wanted to bring up is I know my husband don't like going to the mall. I don't really like going to the mall, but I like to go to Walmart. He does not like walking around at Walmart, and he likes to watch the Redskins. I like to see Dallas, but
Oh, Jesus.
here's the deal, though. I was not a football person, but because I knew that he enjoyed football, I learned the game. I did not understand.
It's good, though.
I learned the game.
Looks
What
really
I did,
good.
I'm a very competitive person. So what I did is I learned football, but I said, if I'm going to have to sit here and watch football, I'm going to enjoy myself. So I did like Dallas, and that's the team I like, and I picked a very good team because they're better than the Redskins. But I enjoy football now. So what I did, I had to learn how to get in his space. And then there's some things he has to learn how to get in my space. And that's how we learn to enjoy one another. It's not like you're going to come on my side of the fence and you're just going to enjoy me. No, that's how we learn to enjoy one another. I watch football. He go to Walmart. He may go somewhere else in Walmart, but he's in Walmart.
I was shopping with her, and I get rejected when I go shopping because she's going to find the clothes. I go find something. Where it is? No, where it is? I'm going to find everything. But listen, I'm going to find something happy while I'm doing it.
I really just want him to drive me.
That's what it is. But listen, find satisfaction. Don't be married and miserable. There's a reason you got married. You just need to find it. You need to go back and say, why did I fall in love with that person? Why did I choose to marry them in the first place? And you find those 3 things, 4 things, and you keep them alive. And I go and I'll find a date night. You are too busy if you don't have time to spend with your spouse. You are too busy if you don't have time to come to, all right, date night for, I don't know, for so many years. Because I was so busy, as I said earlier, I had to learn to give her at least one day that nothing could be scheduled on. There are people who call for me to preach on Wednesday nights, and I tell them I can't come and preach. And when they press me, I have to say, give me a moment. Yes, God is my head, but I go to my wife and I said, is it all right for me to skip this Wednesday so I can go preach? I'll be sure to make it up. That's how important our time with each other is. And I don't care what kind of business that you have, how many children you're raising, you need to spend time with your spouse and satisfy one another.
And my family, all my family and friends know my date night. I mean, they'll call on my date night. I know it's your date night, but I got one question. Well, you better hurry up because it's my date night. And this is the night that we spend enjoying really one another. Not that that's the only night, but this is the night that we have set aside that we're going to really take the time. And it doesn't always have to be out. We get bad. We may sometimes order food and bring it in the house and just watch a movie together. We know all the Lifetime 911. We get the time to spend just with one another. And my children know, don't come in the room because this is not your night to sit in the room and watch TV with us. So the church point of view is we are losing the lifelong commitment. And we need to restore that back in marriage. Teach the younger people. Teach ourselves. If you're going to do this, you need to realize it's for a lifetime. And when you do this, you're going to have a sacred commitment. You're going to have a serious commitment. You can have a sorrowful commitment. And you can have a satisfying commitment. Here's a bonus one. Then it's going to be a sowing commitment. Y'all catching those SEC? Yeah. Your commitment is going to go great to higher levels. You can increase. It's going to soar. So thank you for those that are allowing us to speak on behalf of the church. We just want you to know we want you to be in a lasting commitment. And at the release of the Greenes, I wrote a book called A Word to the Wife. How to bring your husband down from the rooftop. And those who are watching, or those who may watch it later, the first 5 people that email pastorb.theauthor@gmail.com, email me your name, your address, and that you were on this or you saw this, and I will email you a free copy of my book. Matter of fact, the first 10 people, free book. All you have to do
Self-Esteem.theauthor@gmail.com. Give me your name, your address, and you were on this or you saw this, and I will send you a free book to, I think we are How to Bring Your Husband Down from the Rooftop. Another book is coming out for us guys soon. Thank you. I'm
So he said the book for the guys really fast.
Because our time is so much. Thank you, James and Cynthia, for having us.
Thank you so
much. We believe in marriage just like you, and we're praying that you all will have a blessed session.
But remember to always keep the fire burning in your marriage. Marriage aren't built to last.
All right. That was awesome. But I have a few things to say. First of all, Vicky, when you learn football, I wish you would have learned it from another team. I'm sorry.
That's my team too, Vicky. So you're all right. You're all right.
Secondly, it's so good because Pastor Bell, I like to squeeze the toothpaste from the bottom, and Cynthia likes it from the middle. Also, I like the toilet paper going over, and sometimes she puts it under. But we had to realize that those little things aren't a deal breaker in your marriage. You know, they shouldn't even matter. Some things are insignificant, and it shouldn't even cause issues in your marriage because it's something that's really minor.
Absolutely.
So let me ask you a question. I want to talk about marriage ministries in the church.
Right.
Because you're from the church, and marriage ministries, we feel work because, you know, when couples feed off of other couples, and when they see a healthy couple, they want to emulate that couple, or they want to work harder for their marriage to be stronger. What do you have to say about marriage ministries in the church?
I believe it should be one of the top ones. I believe that budget, it should be included in the budget. At the beginning, it shouldn't be an afterthought. Before the year, selected people should be chosen to do something at least annually, or at least every 3 months. But as possible, but I am so amazed how you all host something almost every month, because it's important. And if I had the time, God knows I would. But marriage should be poured in every month, at least every quarter. And I believe the church needs to take notice of what is happening with marriage and set aside time, set aside space, set aside money, identify, or the pastor take it on to his wife and make sure somebody is born into marriage.
So why do I think that the church should do that? Because if the home is good, if the marriages are good, if the children are good, if I'm raising good children, how much stronger would my church be if I'm bringing up a healthy home? But if my home is damaged, then my children are damaged, then my church becomes infected. It's just a disease that's going to spread. But if you try, and I'm just saying this, and I'm not saying it always happens, because sometimes it just happens. We see it today in America. Sometimes it just happens. But when you do it that way, when you're feeding and you're making the home grow, the church grows, we all win. But you're going to have those one-offs or two-offs, but that's how you call a healthy family.
That's so good, Pastor Vicky. We really appreciate you guys. Pastor Bernard, can you please post in the chat how people can get your book so they can reach out to you? If you guys can type that in the chat, that would be great. And just tell people how they can connect with your marriage ministry. You guys have an awesome marriage retreat every year. We've been a part of that. We had such a great time. I'll never forget them toilet those toilet plungers. I walked in wondering, like, what we gonna do with those? But we had a great time. So we want to thank you guys. We truly, truly appreciate you for coming on and taking a stand about the church and marriage, because truly, you know, I was having a conversation with a young person the other day, and they were talking about some certain things with marriage. I'm like, no, God created marriage. He's the one that set the standard. So the world doesn't get to change it and make it look like what they want it to look like. So I appreciate you for standing up today, taking that stand, helping us to truly realize that. And I just pray that everybody truly gets that in their spirit as we all move forward today. Thank you so much. We love you guys, and we appreciate you. So we're going to move to our very next speaker. Unfortunately, we had a dancer coming on at this time, but We're not sure what happened to her. She's been a part of Black Marriages Matter. This would have been her fourth year straight being a part. And I'm not sure what happened to her and her mom this morning. I'm going to try to reach out to them during the broadcast. So we're going to move to our next speaker. Which, did she just disappear? Mm-hmm. Which is Walla still on here? I don't see her picture anymore. Oh, did we just lose her? Well, our next speaker is Walla Blagay, and I don't see her on. Oh, she'll be right back. She'll be right back. But just to keep the event moving, we're just super excited about all of you being here today. Mm-hmm. Y'all, the sun is shining so bright. I'm sweating in here with this heat, but it's just such a beautiful day. It's the first day of spring, and we're just super excited that you're here today, and we're looking forward to everything that's going to happen on this event. We want to know if you guys have any questions right now for the pastors before they leave. You can unmute you can post them in the chat, or you can unmute yourself because they're going to be leaving. If you have any questions for the pastor, you can unmute yourself and ask them any questions right now. Anybody?
No questions. Okay.
No questions? Well, don't forget that Pastor Bernard said that you can get the first 5 couples will get a free copy of his book. I have his book. It's really good. We have his book. It's really good. So make sure you check the chat and get his email address if you would like a copy of his book. It's really good for your marriage library. All right. So I see Sansi, Walla Blagay's assistant on here. Is she coming back, Sansi?
Yes, she's just leaving out another meeting. She'll give her about 5 minutes, please.
Oh, okay. All right. So for 5 minutes, you guys, let's do a shout out. Tell us where everybody's tuning in from. Unmute yourself. Let us know where you're tuning in from.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Monroe and Karen Coleman, New Orleans, Louisiana.
Awesome.
Oh, okay.
We love New Orleans.
Go, Walla.
Who else do we have on today?
My name is Rochelle McAllister, and I am from Maryland.
Yay! Good morning, Rochelle.
Good morning, Rochelle. I thought you would be first to say something. No.
Go ahead. Who else do we have?
Hello, good morning, everyone. How are you guys today?
We're good. How are you?
We are Dwight and Deja Russo out of Nashville, Tennessee.
Awesome.
It's Philadelphia.
Oh,
that's
awesome.
what I'm talking about. That's my home also.
All right. Great. Welcome this morning. Who else do we have on? Rocky?
Good morning, everyone. Sorry?
Go ahead, Rocky.
Okay. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Joshua from Nigeria. Can you hear me?
Yes. Welcome. Thank you for joining.
Thank you for joining us.
He's tuning in from Nigeria, Africa. That's awesome. I saw his girl with them earlier, but I didn't see her now, but that's okay. Who else do we have that would like to shout out where they're tuning in from?
I'm Dr. Chichiwaje. Good morning, everybody. I'm calling in from Washington, Maryland.
Awesome. Right. Good morning. She's also from Nigeria, but she lives here in Maryland. So yay. We're representing the nations today, you guys. Awesome. Anyone else? Okay, so if not, we're going to move along and introduce our next speaker. I am so excited that she is here this morning.
Yes.
She doesn't know this. She really doesn't know this, but I super admire Walla Blagay. For me, she is a woman on a mission, on a move, and I have been watching her for several years now. I don't even know if Walla knows this, but I volunteered at her campaign a couple of years ago, and I was out there at the polls passing out brochures, and I had my t-shirt, and I just admire her as a woman. So this is Women's History Month. Walla, I applaud you as a woman for Women's History Month. I applaud you for all that you're doing in our community, and I'm going to let you just go ahead and introduce yourself and share with the people how our politicians, our local community leaders are helping marriages in the world today through our government.
And thank you so much for having me here, Cynthia. I really appreciate you and your husband for all of you all are doing to encourage our units. For everyone, I just want you guys to know my name is Walla Blagay. I am an activist in my community. I'm an attorney. I have been working to represent working people, really keep wealth in our homes through making sure that people are not fired unfairly. I've also been an advocate for women. I've been an advocate for immigrants. I've been an advocate for just building our communities, making sure that nobody takes from our community. And I'm actually also running for county council in Prince George's County. So I want to thank you all for bringing me on here, and thank you so much for volunteering. I do remember you. I've been watching you as you've been watching me. We came through I can't remember what group we connected through. But ever since then, I've been on your email list, and I've been receiving your information. So I've been watching you for a very long time. So thank you so much for what you're doing in the community. I really do admire this. This discussion today is really important in our community because let's talk about the school system. Right now, one of the reasons why people are frustrated with the school system because we have a lot of children that do not have the nurturing at home. So the school has to fill in for it, and it's not enough money for that. I was just talking to someone today, and we're talking about $2.3 billion that we're pulling into the school system, and they're saying it's still not enough. Because for the school system, we have to be the parents for a lot of kids, which is hard. You all know no one can replace a parent, but we have to create parents in the school system that can watch over them. We have to be able to give them food and clothes and places to be and, keep them busy so they're not out on the street. Family units are one of the best ways that we can encourage that the nurturing starts at home. Because we know that if we rely on the school system to raise our children, it's difficult. It's difficult. It's an impossible task, and many fall through the cracks. And that's what we're seeing today. And that's what we are putting our money into, is making sure that we find ways to protect the families, to protect the students when they have no family units, nurturing them and protecting them. And there's a lot of issues, even wealth and family units, marriages. Family units are great for being able to put two people together that not only share in their spirituality, that not only share in their love, but also share in their money. In the Black community, we have so many single parents, which happens. But on the other hand, it takes away the wealth out of the family, and it leads to a lot of difficulties. I'm usually meeting with a lot of families that need assistance through our system because they have difficulty in being able to pay certain bills, difficulty in navigating the system and needing the system because they are separated or alone, taking care of their children. And family units make sure that we can bring money into the family, the wealth from two people in the household or even one, but sharing those responsibilities helps nurture our children and also helps keeps wealth in our homes. So it's really important to have these discussions. I remember we had a discussion like this when I was working for Congressman Steny Hoyer years ago in Charles County. And one of the things they were saying is that a lot of the problems that we have in our community starts in the homes. And what the government is doing is making, we're trying to fill in for what isn't given in the homes, which happens. But on the other hand, these discussions encourages us to build our family units, to build the marriages so that we can keep the wealth in the family, so that we can nurture our children, and that we can actually make it where the government doesn't have to fill in every point. Of course, there's always going to be people that the government's going to have to help. But these are the conversations that are outside of government that need to happen so we can build our community. But I just want to talk about some of the concerns. I know some of you all live in Prince George's County, and of course, some people, someone came here that was from Nigeria. That's also my mother's home, so I was happy to see that. But when we talk, we need advocates and people like you to go into our community and start really talking about sort of building each other. Not only does the marriage and the family unit is important, but us reaching out to each other and actually encouraging each other so that we don't feel alone. And this whole thing, when we talk about COVID, a lot of people are by themselves suffering. We're talking about mental health. Mental health has been the biggest issue. A lot of people are in their homes suffering because they're alone or by themselves, or they're not by themselves, but they're just depressed because they're not around people. So we need to reach out to those in our community, encourage them, and just start to either walk with them or even encourage them or read scriptures with them. Start to encourage those in our community so we don't see such a high leap of suicide or those who are just having episodes, which is increasing in Prince George's County or in the state of Maryland or in our country. We need to encourage each other, reach out to the school system and start to adopt a lot of these children, the children who don't have the family unit supporting them. Because what we're seeing is that a lot of the children are acting out, and we're looking at community schools where we can provide them with services. We're looking at how to keep them busy during the summer, and just in general, many students are falling through the cracks with virtual schools because they don't have the home environment that allows them to actually be able to experience virtual schools. We're also, need to make sure that we focus on just that, even like encouraging proper health and wellness so that we can see the people in our community thrive. So I really think that, it's important. I think it starts with you all. You are really our leaders because you're already talking about how to build marriages, how to build family units. And these discussions need to be on a broader base so we can encourage this in our community. And if we encourage this in our community, it will begin to not only increase the wealth in our community, but it will increase those that give back in our community, because when you're nurtured properly, you can turn around and give back. And we can only do things by the support of the Lord, because that's really our backbone through good times and bad. But I appreciate the discussion that you all are having today. I will tell you, I will be focused on making sure that continuing my advocacy as I'm, fighting today. Like this week I've been fighting on behalf of school nurses who are not expendable. We need to make sure that we protect them while they're caring for those. Our nurses who care for those. I'm always advocating for them. But, in the future, as I move forward with my campaign, I'm going to be talking about living, working, and playing in Prince George's County and how that is really, really important. And that is one of the things that, a lot of people pay high taxes in this county, and they do not feel that this county actually connects them with what they need. And they have to go to outside jurisdictions to get what they want. We need transit-oriented communities, smart development that supports the family so that they don't have to spend their time, their gas money, leaving the county. I'm also going to be focusing on the school system, funding programs that help nurture our students. I'm going to be focused on domestic violence. This is something that goes wrong. Something goes wrong in the family. A lot of families are right now at the courthouse filing orders so that they can get their spouses out of their home because they're being abused. There's something wrong with that process, and we have to actually reach out to them and see what went wrong. But we need to put forth laws that protect those who are victims of domestic violence. I'm going to also be focusing on small businesses, those of you who are business owners, making sure that the procurement process in the county is beneficial to you, but also that you are able to navigate around other opportunities within the county, especially if you live here. And I'm going to be focused on transparency in our system. A lot of people don't know what's going on in the government. And a lot of you here who are leaders, the government leaders do not reach out to you. So we want to make sure that the government leaders are reaching out to you and letting you know what they're doing for you and how they're able to support you. Because we need you all in our school system. We need you all when we're giving support to a lot of the mothers in the community. We need all of you, especially you faith leaders. We need you all when we need to make sure that somebody who's been abused, they need a place to go, because they not only need a bed to sleep on, but they need somebody who's going to help them spiritually walk through what they have experienced. We need you all in our healthcare system to help mental health. And this is where we talk about where people are struggling with life and what's going on around them. And we need the faith leaders that are on this call to encourage them, to be able to be their guide, their lead. We all need to, government should not work alone, but work in hand with community leaders. And I want to bring you all into the system so that you all can be a part of the process. I'm also here to bring forth the official citation. And I want to note that this was from the office of Daryl Barnes from the 25th Legislative District. Delegate Barnes has been a really big advocate in our community, especially when it comes to small business issues. And of course, he's my delegate. And I definitely want to read out, should I read out the citation, or are we going to put it on the screen?
I did. Hold on.
I can, and let me just read the citation out, since we don't.
I wasn't prepared to put it on the screen, so I will put it on a little later, but you can go ahead.
You can go ahead and read it.
Marriage Built to Last LLC. So it said it is hereby, and of course this is an official citation from the state of Maryland. And it is, be it hereby known to all that the sincerest congratulations are offered to James and Cynthia Greene in recognition of Marriage Built to Last LLC, who has been instrumental in promoting family values and the benefits of marriage in Maryland. Happy marriages are necessary for our community's continued growth. Thank you for your commitment. And this was presented on the 20th day of March, 2021 by Delegate Daryl Barnes from Prince George's County Legislative District 25. And I just want to read the letter of support that you also received from Delegate Barnes. It says, Dear James and Cynthia Greene, I would like to strongly commend you on your diligent work around highlighting the benefits of married life and promoting marriage in the Black community. It is fundamental to have individuals like you that are who are committed to uplifting and encouraging people about the wonderful benefits of a healthy marriage. Thank you for being such a strong role model in our community and leading by example. I wish you a continued success in all your goals and endeavors. Please feel free to reach out to me if I may be of any of assistance. And this is in love and solidarity, Daryl Barnes from Delegate from District 25. So I just want to applaud you all. This is it's really this citation is very much needed because you all are doing a good job in the community. And like I said before, and I mentioned to everyone, it starts here. But what we need to do is get you all out in our community because we need all of you to be leading as spiritual leaders, as guidance counselors, as marriage counselors in our community. And that way we will be able to improve our school system. We will be able to improve mental health in our community. We will be able to improve many issues in our community, including even domestic violence. So congratulations to both of you for the leadership that you have taken in our community. And as Daryl Barnes has said, your contributions are valuable. They're valuable to us, and we appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Walla. Thank you so much. We really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you for presenting that citation. Thank you for your presentation. That was just so beautiful. And we wanted to bring on our community leaders because we want people to hear all the ways that the family is connected to the government, because a lot of times we don't see that when we're going out to the polls. So Walla's representing Prince George's County in the state of Maryland, but this is pertinent for people all over the world. You need to find out where the resources are in your local government, how you can plug in with them, and how they can plug in with you. See, Delegate Barnes has seen me at many, or us, the both of us actually, but especially me. I told you I love to network. I love socializing. We've seen each other at many community events here in the Maryland area. I am just honored. We are just super honored that he saw the value that we bring here in our community, here in the state of Maryland, here in our area. We speak all over the United States. We speak internationally via virtual, have been for years now. But, you know, just to be recognized and somebody sees the hard work that you've been putting in. We've been on this mission, not just for 7 years in this business, but we've been doing things with marriage almost since the day we were married. You know, 3 months after we were married, we were mentoring a couple, and our bishops told us that we needed to be mentoring couples. We would only been married maybe about 6 or 7 months when she said that. But God has been using us almost since day one. So thank you, Walla.
Right.
Thank you so much. Thank
Right.
you, Daryl Barnes, who said he would peek his head in today if he could. But thank you so much.
And it's such an honor because our mission when we started Marriage Built to Last was to impact our community. You know, and we didn't know how far it would go or how quickly it would go, but we just see it says your vision is the source of your passion. Vision is purpose that you can see, and purpose is a source of your passion. Our passion was marriage. So we feel God puts everybody together for a purpose, and that was the purpose He put Cynthia and I together. And we truly believe that. So our vision was to see marriages get better in the community and to impact our community. And all vision is a purpose that you can see. So we're actually seeing our purpose come to fruition. But Walla, let me ask you a question. Do you believe that communities are suffering and that marriages in the Black community are undervalued? And if you do, why?
I do believe that our community is suffering, and I do believe that, you know, marriage has one of the impact. I can't say it's all of the impact, but it does have an impact. And I explained some of those before, especially in the Black community. We don't encourage marriages as much. We do have a lot of single parents. It doesn't seem to be. I know I've been in rooms where people have said, "What's the point of getting married?" Or, you know, if you have a child, it is, like almost like some people are saying, like, you get married, after you have a child or something.
Right.
I would say that there was a statistics that I found some time ago that, that 70% of our children are born out of wedlock in the Black community. That is different from, in the white community, we're looking at 20% is born out of wedlock. Wow. So look how the vast number of different. As I said before, when you are a single parent, and of course, and I want to say this, when you're a single parent, and I want to make sure I don't, devalue single parents because they work hard and take care of their children. However, it's harder to handle a lot of financial ability of, to nurture your child by yourself. And some people have a lot of family members that can help, but a lot of people don't. And what you find is that there are generations, in certain communities, there are generations of single parents because it hasn't been encouraged in the family for marriage. I do believe having two people in the household caring for a child is nurturing, and that it helps, and that they feed off and support each other, and that in the school, if we get to our school system, especially if you have single parents who are not able to support their children, this is where the money that our tax dollars starts to impact our tax dollars, because there's a difference between a Bowie high school where you have a lot of families that are married, a lot more family units there, and then you go to a place, one of the places we were looking at is like Suitland, where there are more single parents or sometimes no parents, and the school has to fill in. So, you got a lot of homeless kids. You got a lot more kids that just don't have the support at home. And these things, if we encourage marriages in our community, that would allow us to be able to create house units that can support children. And not that it's all about children, but a lot of them is about children, because again, it affects our community. The children are the next generation. That is what our community is going to look like. It's determined by the children that we raise. So, and of course, not everyone has children, even when they're married. So you can support those who do have children, because we are preparing the next generation. So I definitely think it's like we do need to up the encouragement, because it's 70% before 20% impacts. It looks into what a family, the wealth of the family, and the more wealthy your family is, the less your government money has to focus on caring for children, doing things. Like I said, at this point, 60% of the budget for most jurisdictions, 60 plus goes to schools. And that's how it is. And the more and more you have family, children who do not have the support, the more money you're going to have to spend on your school system. So there's a difference in Howard County versus Prince George's County, and how Howard County is wealthier. Well, they do put money into their schools, but they have better schools overall. A parent, if you don't have the parent, then the teachers and the principals become the parents. And they can only do but so much, because they have to they have to run the school, they have to teach. But we don't have that in a lot of our communities. The teachers can't just teach. The principals can't just manage the schools, because they also have to care for the students. So we have to really look at marriages as one of the ways that we build in our community, and make sure that we can actually support those, so that we can have better communities overall, and citizens who are supporting us, and supporting a better and a more livable community where we share and where we work together.
Oh, that's awesome.
Excellent.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Does anyone else have any questions for Walla at this time? Attorney Walla, anybody have any questions for her at this time? You can unmute yourself.
Sharing, Ms. Wong, you said that faith leaders are needed. How do we contact Delegate Barnes or anybody else for the church to get involved?
Yeah, I'm not, for Delegate Barnes, I will, he has an email, and you can, and I'll post the email in the chat. And that's his email for his office. And I'll make sure to post the information for his, on the chat. For myself, I would say that, I'm putting together a cattle, and I'm going to talk to McLean about this. We're going to put together a list of faith leaders that want to help, and I'm going to make sure once I get in office that we start a faith leaders team. Now, I do have a faith leader representative from Alsabrook's office that is also a part of it, and what we want to talk about is that how we get you all with the issues of mental health. The faith leaders are the best guidance counselors. They are the best. They give us what we need, and we do need faith leaders to kind of start helping out with outreach to those who are living in suffering. And also, so I definitely think that I'm going to be putting something together, faith leaders that I believe that the county should start using for assistance. The school system is another one that needs faith leaders to come in and kind of help with programs, supporting our students who do not have the marriage units at home to support them, or the healthy marriage units, because some there, like I said, there's domestic violence. One of the bigger ones is, and I'm gonna, when I get in office, I'm gonna be focusing on this. Domestic violence survivors need a place to go, and oftentimes churches are very helpful with that. That they have a place to go. That they not only, churches is a preference, because if you put them in a regular house, they're still suffering mentally with all that they've experienced. A faith leader will be able to counsel them, bring them, allow them to grieve through, or just, be able to reflect on what they've experienced. So I did send in the email. I put Daryl Barnes' information there, and you can contact him directly. I don't speak for his office or work for him. However, I will put mine. Yes, I will put mine.
So I want to make a comment to a couple of things that you said. James and I, we have been a part, you'll be proud to know, Walla, we've been a part of Adopt a School program. So our business adopted one of the local elementary schools in Prince George's County in Upper Marlboro. Of course, during COVID, it fell off, but I see they're trying to pull it back together again. So, you know, we've done a lot of things in the community with the schools. And then also at our church, one of the ways that our church reaches out, we actually have a bus that goes to the shelter, or vans that go to the shelters in DC, pick up people and bring them to church on Sunday mornings. But we not only bring them to church on Sunday mornings, we feed them. We cook a full-blown breakfast for them. And then we have other entities that we do. We also give away food every Wednesday. So if there's anybody on here that knows anybody that needs food, every Wednesday you can go to our church on what road are we on? Can't you think of the
St.
address?
Barnabas Road.
On St. Barnabas Road in Suitland that you were just speaking of, Walla. Victory Christian Ministries International on St. Barnabas Road in Suitland, Maryland. Free food every Wednesday. It's a drive-by, so it's a touchless pick it up and go. So, you know, I just want to thank you so much for coming.
You know, I just want to say, it's something you said that was so key about the children, how you compare, say, Howard County to, say, Suitland, how more of them are single or, you know, in single family homes and everything. And I look at that as interdependent versus independent. When you think of interdependent, you think that's when the family unit is close together. That's when they have dinner together. That's when they resolve conflict together as a family. That's interdependent. But independent is when them children go out there on the streets and go to school and they're by themselves. And that's how they easily join gangs, because they feel that gang is like a family to them. Amen. Right. And so it's so key what you said, how that's why we're doing this whole Black Marriages Matter Symposium, because it is a key for marriages and for families to come together and show their children. And we know Black Lives Matter, but where does it start? It starts with the Black family. So if you can have that interdependency, you know, as compared to being independent and going out there, that will go a long way in helping children as they grow and become adults.
And also, as you speak on single families, and she'll be on the panel in just a little bit, we have Minister Rochelle McAllister on, who represents Single Parent Achievers. Yes. And she's doing a lot of things in the community to help single parents to culture and cultivate their children, so that there's a stronger unit between the single parents and the children and the community. Right. So she'll be on our panel in just a little bit. But did anybody else have any questions or comments for Walla?
I think there's one.
Yeah, you can unmute yourself. Go ahead. The Colemans.
Okay. A question for you. What is the percentage in your area that children are being raised by their grandparents, aunties, and uncles? Because here in the New Orleans area, it's about 15% that's helping out. And, you know, grandparents really can't run with these children. That's right. And that creates another discipline problem. And in our school system, we have a certain amount of homeless children that we have to deal with. I'm on the board at 35, back down at 35 senior high school. So, you know, I'm aware of some of the culture problems that we have, especially on the high school level, but also my sister taught almost 40 years on the elementary level. And I'm familiar with the grandparents, aunties, and uncles that's taken over, because some of the children's parents are incarcerated. And we also have other programs that I'm part of to kind of, well, just say bridge the gap, but it's a big valley to bridge.
I think that's an excellent question. And I want to start by saying I don't have the actual numbers, but kind of wait for the census, as the census just came out. So that might be able to give us some impact. I mean, some actual numbers. I would tell you that it's a huge problem in this county. One of the reasons why we're focusing on, I'm going to be focusing on senior homes in general, affordable senior homes. But a lot of the seniors are kind of out of money because they are taking care of their grandchildren. It's prevalent. A lot of them not only are taking care of their grandchildren with babysitting, which happens, but financially. So most of the seniors, when I went and met with the AARP last year, we were going to put together something about affordable homes. What we found is that most of the seniors had reverse mortgages on their homes or second mortgages. Why? Because they need to support their kids and their grandkids, who oftentimes, sometimes a lot of them are not able. They have kids, but they're not able to get it together. They're trying to figure it out. So the grandparent needs to jump in and then start paying for this for the grandkids and doing this and putting this money here and there. So it was one of the hardest things because as a lawyer, I had to tell that's taking wealth out of our community. If you put a reverse mortgage on your home, when you die, your home does not go to your child. So that's taking wealth out of these families, generational wealth. So what we were finding is that when they found that out, they were horrified, but they had no other choice because they were like, well, I have to help my family. I remember we have the Secretary of Aging that was here, and I remember we were sitting in a room, and she said to all, it was a room full of seniors, and she said to them, raise your hand if you're paying your grandchild's car note, and like if all these parents started laughing, but it's true. It's like in our community, you're right. A lot of, even in my generation, a lot of my friends were raised by their grandparents because of whatever reason. As we went through the crack epidemic, there were some mothers that could not take care of their kids. There was a lot of single mothers that needed help. They didn't have a father or someone else at home to care for their child, so they would leave it with the grandparents. So the grandparents would take care, and that's a lot of people in my generation. And now the next generation is coming up, and then it seems like it's the same thing, right? We're repeating it because it's generation. So that's why these conversations are really important. Because you're right, the grandparents are impacted by this. And when the grandparents are impacted by this, they're not going to leave their grandchild hanging to punish a parent. They're going to do whatever they want. They're going to put a reverse mortgage on their home. They're going to put a third mortgage, anything that they can do so they can get more cash if they don't already have cash. A lot of times, our seniors already have to pay a lot for Medicare Part D prescription, where they're paying a lot of money out of their pocket for their medications. So it's kind of hard because it's like, if you have to take care of yourself and you're already in the age where you're not really actively working, or the worst part is that, I've talked to a senior a couple of days ago, and she's got to get back out there working because she does have to help her daughter, who is a single mom and has a couple of kids and needs help. So she does have to help her. And so she's going to go back out and working, and she's in her 60s. So this is what we're doing to the Black community. This is an ongoing problem in the Black community, and it goes on through other groups, but it is very prevalent problem in the Black community. And these discussions are a way to address it.
Is there any program out there on how to raise mentors, to be able to be mentors into the school? Like, there's so many people that don't have children. And I know that you talk about fostering and adopting, but people may have not gotten to that point to get there. But there's a whole lot of people that don't mind mentoring, but don't feel like they have the tools or the skill set to mentor. How many programs are out there to really raise up mentors so that they can be that parent to that youth that may not have come, so that grandparent, because guess what, the grandparent really don't understand how to fill out that college tuition letter. So how do you raise those leaders, those adults up to be mentors to those children? Because when I came up, my mother was just senior. She didn't know how to do the college application. So how do you raise up those mentors to be able to mentor our children that are in school?
So that's a good suggestion. And I would say that right now, the way the mentorship in the school system works is that they contract with various organizations, and the organizations provide mentors. But it would be good if the school system would have a mentorship program that they can raise the mentors and actually work and train the mentors to mentor, and then it's through the school system. But the school system does have different programs that they do provide. Most of the programs, they do contract with a lot of organizations that provide mentorship, and then those programs will, bring forth those programs, and then those people through those organizations are able to mentor. But there are opportunities, and I can provide more information on opportunities. But you're right. I mean, we do need to, I think one thing I would say is that the mentorship is more than just, just through organization. There should be a huge push for mentorship, because it really does change the trajectory of a child's life if a child, I had a friend that he was, his mom was like kind of homeless, and they were in and out of different homes, and he was very, very frustrated with life. And then there was an organization where they kind of helped students get into college, and the president kind of met him and then brought him in the house and helped him when he wasn't in the right environment. And now my friend is a delegate in Prince George's County. And he did very well compared to his siblings. But it took somebody who saw him and said, you know what, I'm going to invest in him and just get to know him and mentor him. And if we could get that for every child in our school system,
That's right.
most of our kids, we can't do everyone, but most of our kids, it really will guide them. We need them to actually have impact with someone who has it straight. Because, I mean, Mr. James, you're right. One of the things that we found when you do like criminal cases, and I don't do criminal cases that much, but a lot of times these kids are like, the gang was my family, or the street gang was my family. That's my family. That's my, he my cousin, even though from another mother.
Right.
And so they're gonna do whatever they tell them, because they feel like that's the only people or group investing in them. And it's gonna take a lot more to break that person out of their habits and systems. As once they get into that gang system and become a part of it, it takes years to break them out of it, because in a way they feel a guilt. Even, you find them going to jail, and even in jail they feel guilty. They're not helping the gang.
Cool.
So how do we do that is that when they're in elementary school, we catch them there. Have the mentorship right at the elementary school level. So by the time, because when they hit 11, 12, 13 years old, in the African culture, they used to use that as the rite of passage and things like that. But to be honest, in American culture, you kind of think, there's children. But the truth is, there's something to that rite of passage. Because if someone at 11, 12, 13-year-old gets into that world, you would have the hardest time pulling them out of it. So you have to catch them when they get into that world, catch them at that point, and then start to mentor them, even if they're seeing it around them, because sometimes it's hard because they go home into those communities. That's the thing that people cry about the school, of what our schooling in our community today. It's like they're stuck in their communities where this world of this gang or even street life thrives. And so if you're connected with them, you might be able to give them that hope to say, I want to be like Mr. James. And I want, and then once they get to that point, they might just walk away from that world.
That's right.
That's so good.
And you could be the person to help them fill out those applications because their parents are not.
That's so good. And so I would encourage you guys to reach out to the Board of Education if you're interested in connecting with the schools, connecting with mentoring. There's so many opportunities with the school. Like I said, they had the Adopt a School program, which churches can adopt a school, and businesses, and even some individuals. So those are some ways you can do it. I was just thinking about all the things that I do at the schools. I've volunteered for Career Day at Oxon Hill High School since probably like 2011, 2010, ever since our daughter was there in high school. And so there's so many opportunities at the schools, and the Board of Education is always looking for people. I also mentor with this program called Rise for Young. It's a leadership program for young people through my friend Sharon Parker, who's over the ROSA, which is Remember Our Ancestors Synergistic Association. So there's so many ways to help our young people. We just have to be diligent and looking for those opportunities. We want to thank you, Attorney Walla Blagay, for joining us and for just giving us so much rich information. Yes. We want to move to our next speaker of the day. We're so excited. I was thinking about all these things I'm a part of. I'm like, Cynthia, how do you do it? So I was also going to tell Walla, we met through the Sisters for Sisters Network.
It was Peggy's group. Right?
Peggy's group, yes. And so then our next speaker, which is the American Mothers Incorporation, which has been around since like the 1800s something or other, you guys. Our Mother of the Year, Maria Thorpe, I actually know her through being a member of the American Mothers Incorporated. And so we've just started a chapter here in the Maryland area. Are you there, Maria? You can unmute and bring your picture on. But we just started a Maryland chapter maybe about 3 years ago. And I've been a part of that organization now for about 2 years. And this year, Maria was elected the Maryland Mother of the Year. I think she's only the second or maybe third Black Maryland Mother of the Year that they've ever had. So congratulations, Maria. And we're going to let Maria go ahead and take it away, coming on representing the moms of the Black community.
Well, thank you so much, Cynthia and Jan, for having me here today. I'm so honored to not only be here, but to be your American mother. And I just want to say that while she talked about some things that, you know, are impacting our community, and these are some of the same things that I work on. So let me just introduce myself a little bit. My name is Maria Thorpe, and I am an engineer by degree. And so I do quite a bit of outreach in our schools, with our families and with our parents. I am a wife, a mother, an engineer, a real estate investor, and an agent. I am an author. And all of the things that I do that I will share with you really is about our family, how to keep our families together, how to educate our families, how to find a home for our families to live in. Because as was said earlier, these are the key components that we as African Americans, we as mothers, grandparents, as families, we need these things to continue to build and grow and keep the legacy that our forefathers have put together and our foremothers. You know, I wholeheartedly support the concept of marriage, strong marriages and strong families, because that will help create a strong community. And I think all of the guest speakers that have spoken so far is trying to share with us today that these are the things that are currently lacking in our community, that our children are missing, and that they need all of us to help them see what's possible in our community. So I and my husband, we have 2 sons. And, you know, as was said or mentioned earlier, I'm from Philadelphia as well. And I moved down to Maryland years ago with the BRAC. And so, you know, I came into this community wanting to be a part of it. And being a part of it means giving back. And how can I do that? And as I said earlier, I do that in a myriad of ways. But one thing, when my husband and I, you know, as we were married and decided to have children, it was very important for us to keep our family tight and our children first. Because when we moved to Maryland, we didn't have any family here. And so it would have been, we thought it was going to be difficult. But once we decided together as a family, as a husband and wife, this was the direction we were going to go in to make sure we could keep our marriage strong, keep our family tight, and to be able to give our children what they needed to thrive and succeed. And so, you know, I've been the PTA president at their schools. I've been the STEM outreach in their schools. I've taken the whole school on trips to experience, you know, the White House. I've brought children down from Charles County to see what engineers do. I've been a part of President Obama's day at the lab when I took technology to the White House and showed it to some of our African American students so they can see what it's like to be an engineer in this world, to go to college and to be successful. You know, I like to say, and one of my mantras is, I want to help you to engineer your success. Not just mine, but your success. And so Some of the ways that my husband and I give back to the community is through STEM, because we are a family of STEM. I'm an electrical engineer. My husband's a chemical engineer. My oldest is a computer scientist, and my youngest is graduating this year with his degree in computer engineering. So we know that what we've done can be successful. And I won't say that we have all the answers, but what I will say is that the family unit filled with love, support, a home to come and share your dreams and experiences, it will go a long way to having a healthy marriage and a happy family. And as your Maryland Mother of the Year, some of the things that I hope to do on my platform is to create opportunities for collaborations in our communities. I not only do work in Charles County, I do work in PG County, DC, St. Mary's, Calvert. I've done work in Philly, Ohio. So I try to create an environment for collaboration. One of the other things that I plan on doing, of course, is communication. It is key. Sometimes I think someone said on here that we need to be talking to our children. We need to be sharing with them our expectations of them. So often they don't have that guidance. But I will share with you, if you guide and have expectations of your youth, they will want to perform for you and do what's best for them. And doing that and sharing your experience and your knowledge, it will help them to see that there are opportunities and paths that they can go to and go through. And another one of my platform issues is mentoring. And so I plan to continue to reach out not only to our youth and help mentor, but through other platforms that I am a part of, our mothers and our families. So in the community, my family, we mentor those youth. In fact, my oldest, he actually went on his first mentoring event with me. And we went to one of the schools in DC, and it was my first opportunity last year for he and I to go out and share our stories with African American youth about what it takes to be an engineer, how you can do it, and how can we help you see what your dreams are. Another way that we reach out is through what's called our platform, Waldorf Chess Club. So my husband and I, we are the owners of Waldorf Chess Club, where we teach our youth, our mothers, and our families how to build self-confidence, strategic thinking, strategic planning, all through the game of chess. And so that has been a phenomenal experience for us in the community that we engage in. And we are looking forward to having it open again after the pandemic. But because of the pandemic, we actually have created an environment online where we're providing that same service to our community. And another activity that I participate in is a Gals Lead program. And that's my youth mentoring program with young ladies. And I teach them 4 pillars of success through knowing yourself, dreaming big, how to overcome obstacles, and the most important part is how to take action. So these are just some of the things that myself and my husband and my whole family, we're engaged in our community to help support our youth and our families to be the best that they can be. And I am so excited to be here today to be a part of this activity. This event that James and Cynthia is putting on is so important. It's very important because marriage and staying together is just the foundation of our community. And I just want to take a moment. We talked about it a little bit while I talked about it. And, you know, the statistics are really, they're not looking good, not just for Black marriage, but for marriage in general. Right now, it is even more evident. But in 2016, only 29% of African Americans were married. 29%. That's in comparison to 48% of all Americans, okay? Half of African Americans have never been married. That's 50% of our community have never experienced the love, joy, the giving, and the patience of being married. I mean, that right there is something for us to work towards. Mm-hmm. You know, just having that family unit, it's really important. And, you know, that's in comparison to 33% of all Americans. So think about that. Half of our families have never been married. Never. Whereas the rest of the community, 33% of them have only experienced this. Also, over half of our Black women, 48% of them have never experienced marriage. Okay, now there's some discussions that we can have about, you know, marrying outside the race and all of those things. But just think about that. Women who want to be married can't get married, or are having a tough time doing that, or having a tough time staying married. You know, so, you know, just a quick statistic again. Only 29% of all African Americans have been married. 32% are men, and 26% of our women. Whereas in the USA, 48%. And remember what Wallace said, being married helps build wealth. Now we can have a whole conversation on that, but it is foundation for building wealth in your community and your family, okay? I won't even go into the divorce statistics, but I wanted just to say that 50% of all African Americans, again, have never been married. 52% of African American men have never been married. And 48% of our women have never been married. So what does that say about our community? And what can we do to change the course in the direction so that we can be the whole, build the community, and give our families what they need to succeed in this world? Because it's going to start in the home. It's going to start in the family unit. And each one of us has a role to play in that. And I am so looking forward to sharing these words across the state of Maryland with our families and our communities as much as I possibly can. And, you know, as I leave you today, because I was given a few minutes, so, you know, tell me if I'm talking too much or if I'm going over, but I wanted to share these things with you. And if I could leave you with this, you know, a family that loves together, lives together, laughs together, plays together, prays together, guess what? They seem to stay together. So if I can leave that with you all, I want to thank you today for giving me a moment to talk with you. I look forward to engaging with so many of you through this year. And Cynthia and James, thank you so very much for this opportunity.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Maria. I truly appreciate you. Congratulations again on being Mother of the Year. We applaud you for all the things you're doing on your platform. Have a wonderful rest of the day. We're going to move right into our next speaker. You guys, I am super excited to announce our next speaker. I don't know how to say this, but I looked for her 4 years ago, couldn't find a way to connect. This year, we were able to connect. I hope she's there. I don't see her picture. Are you here, Dr. Nisa? Oh, yes, she's here. Okay. So I looked for her 4 years ago, and I'm so happy that this year, so this whole event, Black Marriages Matter, came about because when I was, on the internet looking for something, I saw that there was a National Black Marriage Day, and it intrigued James and I. We were like, wow, we've never heard of that. And you guys know that marriage is our passion. And at that time, we've been in business for about 3 years. And so this year, I was able to connect with the founder of the National Black Marriage Day. So we are excited to welcome Dr. Nisa Muhammad of Wedded Bliss Incorporated, and she is a professor over at Howard University.
Right.
So we're going to let her introduce herself, tell you guys more about her and how she got started.
And I just want to say, from my understanding, that it started in 2003. You can verify me if I'm incorrect or correct. And it started in 30 cities, but now it have grown to over maybe 300 cities and maybe even more. So, Dr. Muhammad, you could take it away and you could clarify and introduce yourself and explain it.
Yes.
No, you are absolutely correct. Good afternoon. Thank you all so much. I want to thank you all so much for doing this. I want to thank all of the organizers and the attendees for this event. And congratulations to you for going against the tide in our community that says marriage does not matter. And for bringing marriage to the forefront, because marriage is a life-changing event, especially for Black people. Marriage changes things.
Right.
And I started Black Marriage Day because I just got tired of hearing all of the negative things in our community that says marriage doesn't matter. Usually when you hear about marriage in our community, somebody's breaking up, somebody's done me wrong, it's not working, it's just a horror story. But I knew, because I had been recently divorced myself, that it could be so much more.
That's right.
And I wanted to try to do something to help people find the joy that was out there in so many people's lives. So I was speaking at a conference called Smart Marriages, and I talked about the need for the Black community to celebrate marriages, because we have some amazing, strong, powerful, resilient marriages. And I said, we need to have a Black Marriage Day. And so after I got done speaking, I got a call a couple of weeks later from Essence Magazine. And they said, we heard you speak. I didn't get the day of when was Black Marriage Day. And I was like, what? They said, when is Black Marriage Day? I said, let me call you right back. I got a website together. I put a date on the calendar. I was like, my God, when is Black Marriage Day going to be? I picked the 4th Sunday in March. I called her back. And Essence Magazine did the first article about Black Marriage Day in November 2002, announcing Black Marriage Day. That's how we got, the first cities to do it. And I just want to say, do not deny when God blesses you with an idea.
That's right.
You will hear it in your mind, and you may say, God, why are you giving this to me? Give it to somebody else. I can't do it. But when God blesses you with inspiration, do not deny it. So the first Black Marriage Day was in 2003 with about 30 cities, and it has been growing ever since then. It was a small idea to do something to inspire our community, and people do some amazing things all around the country. And so if you hear these little voices, it is because I'm giving my daughter and son a Black Marriage Day weekend so they can do some amazing things. So I have these little people in the background so they can ignore. I've been telling them to be quiet, but they're just being, so just excuse the little voices you hear. So Black Marriage Day is an opportunity to celebrate the amazing marriages in our communities. And so that's what it's all about. And so he'll be fine. That's what it's all about. And so I look for communities to do these amazing events all around the country. So it's typically the 4th Sunday. This year it's the 3rd Sunday because the 4th Sunday is Palm Sunday. And because a lot of churches get involved, I don't want to conflict with Palm Sunday and Easter. So periodically it is the 3rd Sunday, so it doesn't conflict with Easter and Palm Sunday. So why marriage? Marriage is this amazing experience, this amazing relationship that changes people's lives. It has exclusive benefits that you cannot get if you live together with somebody. You can't get these benefits if you're just a boyfriend, girlfriend. You can't get these benefits if you are divorced, if you're widowed. And so this is what we have to be able to let people know. Black married men make more money on their job. Why is that? They're seen as more responsible. They drink less, they use less drugs, they are more responsible on their job. So we have to let people know, if you are married, you are more responsible on your job. If you are released from incarceration and a man gets married, his recidivism rate drops dramatically, meaning he is less likely to return to prison because his wife says, we are moving away from your criminal friends.
you married to me now, you will have a new life. Because I'm not down with that criminal life. I'm not about that. You will have a new life because me and our children do not want that criminal life. So marriage changes things. Marriage offers a woman a higher self-esteem. She knows she is not a booty call. She knows you have committed to her. Marriage is the best place for a woman to express her sexuality. She does not have to wonder, will he call me in the morning? Is he going to think about me? Am I just another, as Aretha Franklin said, another link in the chain? She knows you have committed to her because you have married her. Marriage boosts a woman's self-esteem. The children of married parents do better in school. Why is that? Because that child is waking up to mommy and daddy every single day. If mommy's not there for the PTA meeting, daddy can come. If daddy's not there, mommy can help me with my homework. There are two parents collectively working on the success of that child. The children of married parents are less likely to do drugs, drinking, get pregnant, the whole list of social ills that plague our community. Two parents working on that is better than one. And when we talk about marriage, this is not a slight against single parents who do the best they can do in our community. I was a single parent. I've been a single parent. It is not a slight against single parents who do the best they can. But I ask crowds all the time, would you rather your daughter be a single parent, having to worry about a child support check coming, having to parent and provide on her own, waiting for the baby daddy to come and pick them up every other weekend? How many of us want this for our daughters? Guess how many people raise their hand? Exactly. Nobody raises their hand. Nobody wants that for their daughter. I ask this question, how many of you want for your sons to have to face child support enforcement, wage garnishment, possible jail time because they have a 2 and 3, 4 child support orders all across town, children here, children there. You have grandchildren in 3 and 4 different states. You may see, you may not see. You may have a relationship with, you may not have a relationship with, because your son has these children here, there, everywhere. How many want this for their sons? Nobody raises their hands. And so if we don't want this for our children, we have to rear our children to think about marriage. Unfortunately, we rear our children to get ready for the workforce. So unconsciously, we are rearing them for another form of slavery. And I hate to say this, we are rearing them for modern forms of slavery. We're just getting them ready now for the modern workforce and not rearing them for what is the better form of intergenerational wealth, marriage. Because it is very difficult to pass wealth from one generation to another. If you have child support enforcement on you, your money's going out the door. You can't save, you can't buy a home, you can't do this or that because your money's going everywhere. But marriage is the form of generational wealth passing down from one family to the other. It's difficult to do that. Your community is better if there are marriages in that community. Look where married people live. Look at their houses. Look at their schools. Look at their businesses. Look at the services that are offered. Even if you are single, live where married people live. If you want to be single, that's fine, but live where married people live. Look at the places where the predominantly are single people that are living. Look at the services, look at the houses, look at the schools that are predominantly where single people live. It is all poorer than where married people live. It is all better. That is because married people are more likely to vote. Married people are more likely to demand better services. Married people want more for themselves and their families because they know they want better. So marriage changes things. It changes things for everybody that is involved. And so we have to begin to change the narrative in our community because we used to have these cultural cues that guided us toward marriage. The music, the movies, the messages that we were given used to guide us toward marriage. So I was speaking at Morehouse College, and I asked the young men, name me a song where a Black man is singing to a woman and she's saying, I love you. Name me one song. They kind of scratched their heads and, nobody could think of one song. They said, well, how about I love your body? I said, that's not even close. That's not even the same thing. So our music, sometimes if I ask you, you can think of all kind of songs where a man is saying, baby, I love you. I want to be with you. I want to marry you. These are the songs that we grew up hearing, and these songs guided us toward marriage. Baby, when I'm going to meet you at the altar, these songs guided us toward marriage. The songs young people listen to today do not guide them toward marriage. That's just for Black people. Even in the movies, you know, anybody that watched The Bachelor, the Black Bachelor didn't even get close to marriage. The white bachelor and the white bachelor, they get married, they propose. The Black Bachelor did not even get close to marriage. Now, think of the movie. Anybody see the movie 27 Dresses? It was a cute movie, 27 Dresses. This young white girl who had been to 27 weddings, and her problem was she had never been a bride. Poor girl. She had been to 27 weddings and had never been a bride. How many young Black girls have been to 27 weddings? Do you know anybody that's been to 27 weddings? Probably not. Maybe 17 weddings? No. 7 weddings? No. We just don't have these kind of weddings in our community, but they're showing movies because in their culture, they have weddings after weddings after weddings because they promote marriage.
That's right.
They had a funny wedding movie about bridesmaids. You know, that was a funny movie, Bridesmaids, because they promote marriage to their community. In the music, in the media, all of the stuff, they promote marriage to their culture. Our culture is not promoting marriage. And so Black Marriage Day and all of these little things that you are doing is changing the narrative that's in our community to help people reconsider marriage. Marriage is almost a bad word. It is almost a bad word. And the thing is, for young people, they know the value, but they need other people to help them figure it out. When I work with young people, I say, you know, finish this song, this little rhyme for me. Michael and Janice sitting in a tree. They know it's K-I-S-S-I-N-G. First comes love, then comes marriage, then comes Michael and Janice with the baby carriage. I said, okay, let's modernize this. Let's say, you know, JoJo and Kanisha sitting in the tree. They can modernize it. First comes sex, then comes the baby, then comes child support. So then I asked them, which of these scenarios would you rather have? And without a doubt, they would rather have first comes love, then comes marriage, then comes the baby carriage. 9 out of 10 would rather have that. But they don't know how to get there. And we have not done a good job of showing them how to get there. The 1 out of 10 who would rather have the other scenario just wants a child support check. Child support checks have become a high-value commodity. They want something for nothing. The child support check is a high-value commodity. And so we have to begin to change the narrative that is presented to our young people. We have to begin to help them see the value of marriage, and we have to begin to help them see how to get there. How do they get to marriage? How do they find the right person? How do they have what you have? If they really knew how powerful marriage was, they would rush to do it. If they knew what you knew, if they knew the experiences you have and the value you have of what marriage does and how it has changed your life, they would scrap all these insignificant relationships and rush to get married. But we have to be able to help them know, how to understand how to get there, and how to be there, and how to stay there. And so with that, I just want to thank you again for celebrating Black Marriage Day and joining the hundreds of people around the country who are taking this weekend to celebrate marriage and keep up the good work. Thank you so much again. And as I said, keep up the good work.
Go ahead and ask her a question. Oops.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was so amazing, Dr. Nisa. Thank you so much. Oh, wow. We appreciate that. Go ahead, baby. You had a question?
Yeah, well, it's not really a question. You know, some things you said are so right because Cynthia and I always say children are visual. And people don't know it, but according to datacenter.kidscount.org, more than 66% of black children come from single parents household. So that's what they see. And when they see that, like I say, children of Israel is more likely, they're more likely to drop out of school, experience teen pregnancy, or even experience divorce, just repeating the cycle. That's all they're doing is repeating the cycle. But if they see more healthy marriages, especially black marriages, the greater chance they want to repeat that, since children are being physical, and children also, they can't repeat something they don't see. So if they don't see that and all they see is the positive, then they can repeat that positive cycle of getting married, having healthy households, having more income. And we talk about this all the time about black marriage and black men making more money because they know they're more of the stable. They have a family to support. That's why they make more money. So you hit the nail on the head with make more income for black men, especially as they're married, because they make more because the companies know they have a family to support. And it's funny that you said it. We are coaching a couple now where he was in a gang and he was doing wrong, but now he's married, have children. He moved away from that. And like you said, the wife said, okay, we're moving away from your old friends. We're not going to repeat that cycle of you going out there every day, getting into trouble, leaving me at home. So they moved away from that so they could build their family. And that is so good that you said that.
And
very important. So one of the questions in the chat is how can we promote more activities to get involved and to enhance black marriage in our community? Start small. Start with your inner circle, your friends, your family, your school, your PTA.
Yep.
Start right where you are and just be brave enough to mention the word marriage. Do something for your PTA. Do something for the friends and people that you are. Be a friend of marriage. A lot of times we know people that are married, and we know they're cheating on their spouse. We know that they're doing something that is wrong, and we are silent about it, co-signs their behavior. Be a friend of somebody's marriage and help them stay on the straight and narrow path.
Yep.
Have a family reunion where you celebrate the marriages in your family reunion. Celebrate the new marriages, celebrate the people that have been married 10 years, 20 years. Let people know that in this family, we celebrate marriage. And we encourage people to get married. So start where you are and just however you can celebrate marriage and let marriage be the powerful thing that keeps your family together. Because without that, people are just going to do whatever and go wherever. And our community needs marriages now more than ever.
And Dr. Nisa, that's so key because one thing that we advocate with our marriage company is that we focus on the other 50% that no one talks about. We focus on the 50% who are doing well in their marriages. That's why we created the In Love and Loving It Academy. It's a couples club membership for couples who have a good or a great or an amazing or just an okay marriage, but they want to continue to keep it that way by being connected to other couples who have good marriages so they can be around positive people, and then also have us to mentor them and coach them and do trainings and things for them through that program. People don't realize that about us, but we have, that's what we focus on, the 50% couples who are doing well. And I tell people all the time, when we look around at our friends that we're connected to, they say you're a reflection of your 5 closest friends. All of our friends that we're connected to and hang out with have great marriages, like really have great marriages.
That is so powerful. And so the thing is, that kind of stuff has to be promoted. So let me give you some ideas of what people do in other cities. For example, in Dallas, they had a media campaign where they picked like 10 couples, and they had these 10 couples write down a paragraph of what kept them together, what was the most important points that kept them together. They got a professional photographer to take their pictures, and they talked to Love Field Airport to see if they could get they could do a photography display at the airport. So they got these 10 pictures on display at the airport, so that thousands and thousands of people going up and down this airport could see these 10 pictures of couples and read about what kept them together. Think about the visual images of seeing these couples and what kept them together during Black Marriage Day. So think about a small museum where you could put on display couples that you work with. Because the thing is, we have to begin to change people's mindset about marriage in a lot of different ways. Art exhibits, photography exhibits, public displays, all kind of different ways that we can showcase these fabulous couples that you work with. In the library, see if you can do some kind of art exhibit in the library to showcase the couples that you work with. In the PG County Library or wherever you are, to show some kind of art display with these couples that you work with, to showcase them to the community, these fabulous couples, and here's what's keeping them together.
That's so good because James and I, we started a marriage movement maybe about 3 years ago just to do that so that people can see depictions of positive Black marriages. And so this year, our theme is the totally confident couple. And so, yeah, so we are really pushing that theme and wanting people to know that there are some confident couples out here that are confident that they have a great marriage. Because people put you down when you try to say you have a great marriage. Oh, everybody has problems. Like, I used to be kind of shy and not want people to know that I really, really, really love my husband and that I really, really, really have a great marriage because they don't think people really do. But I have, now it's no holds barred. There's no shame in my game to letting people know, you know, how I feel about my hubby, how I feel about my marriage and marriages in general. So we are really going to be pushing that theme this year, the totally confident couple and the Marriage Built to Last movement, to get people, to really wake people up in the Black community to know that there are great marriages out here and you can have one too if you're willing to get the tools and do the work. And it's good work.
No, that is so powerful. I love that. I love that because we need more of that because you're right. Because people think it's unreal. It's unreal and they have to know that. I mean, they absolutely have to know that. And they're only going to know it if people tell them. And you're right. A lot of times people are shy to say, my marriage is great because they think, oh, no, it's not for real. Everybody's got problems. And so that's just so powerful to hear.
Right. And that's funny because people used to see us and say, okay, they can't be really like that. They can't be in love like that. They can't have that great of a marriage.
After all these years.
Right, until they meet us. And then they see how we actually are. And they're like, wow, they're really the way that they portray. It's, you know, it's not fake and it's not phony. It's real. That's how they truly are. Then they see how our marriage really is.
And we honestly hear that a lot. We want to make sure we ask the audience, does anyone have any questions, any other questions for Dr. Muhammad
or
right
comments.
now, or comments? Okay, Coleman's.
Let's see. It's still morning time. Good evening, Professor. Good morning, Professor. How you doing?
I'm doing good. You know, I'm not a professor. I'm the assistant dean for religious life at Howard. So
I apologize.
No,
okay, I gave you a title for the future.
Exactly.
I like to lay the foundation that I have a degree in engineering, but my business has been transportation. I'm 74 years old, so I've been around for a minute. In my study and observation, I have came to the conclusion that as Black families, we have hurt our children by making them too independent too early. And by that, I mean, when the child becomes, let's say, a young adult, we push him out the house for him to get his own apartment. And what he is doing is devaluing the wealth that a family could generate. I have observed the Vietnamese family, Asian families, and those adult children stay in the house and help pay for that house. And what the parents do is collect the rent money, if I say, from their children. But the children go and buy a house when they get married. And see, that independence with us have hurt us because we just have done it as a race of people. You know, it's good to say, this is my house. But at some point, you need to implant in them that this is our house so that they'll have a vested interest in the house to help keep the house up.
That's right.
And, you know, years ago when we came from rural areas into the city, we settled in a neighborhood of families. And this is where we knew all the children in the neighborhood because we were related. So now we move in neighborhoods where we don't even know the next neighbor or anything about the neighborhood itself, which makes us afraid to talk to somebody else's children because we really don't know their crazy parents. Well, I'm gonna take it back. Don't know their parents because parents don't tend to want you to say anything to their children, and this has aided in the delinquency that we have. So that's one thing that I've been saying as often as I could, that the parent has to help the child become a homeowner, but the parent needs to be a homeowner too. You know, it's sad in this country, less than 1% of black people own deeded property. In other words, you actually own your property. And back in the days when we was on the farm, we owned acres of land. And here it is in the city, you can't own a 50 by 70 feet lot. So that's the part I just want to say as to the listening audience, that we need to encourage the parent to help the children become homeowners, even the children help the parent become a homeowner, because it doesn't matter, as my father would say, it doesn't matter about the money you make, it's about the money you save. And one thing that he would always say, save a dime to a quarter out of every dollar you earn. Not that you won't spend it, but you just won't be broke from your paycheck.
That's right.
And it lent me an opportunity to follow him in his practice of wealth. And my daddy, our father, really only had a third grade education, but he didn't let that limit him, because he came out of the military. He was a tech sergeant. So he was a self-taught man, but he was wise in understanding what the world had available for him. And thank you.
No, thank you for that. That is so key. I realized that when my children were graduating from college, the importance of them becoming homeowners. And so I told them that I want you to stay at home until you're able to save enough money to buy a house. Now that was like groundbreaking. I said, we are stopping the renting in our family right now. I'm going to be the last one. Your dad and I are going to be the last ones who have ever rented. And so my daughter was first. She bought her home when she was 24. She got married, and it was kind of the issue with her dad and I. We were like, how's her husband going to feel? She's a homeowner. How's that going to be? He was fine with it. She lived in her home. My son, he was under pressure from his friends. You still live at home. You should get your own place. You still live at home. You're a mama's boy. But I was like, resist. Save your money and buy a house. Resist. And I said, any of your friends own a home? Well, I know they have apartments. Resist the pressure to just go get an apartment. And now he's on his second home. He says he's about to be 35, and he's second home. But that kind of generational wealth only happens when they are allowed to do that. And I remember when we were looking at homes with him, we went to look at one home, and in every bedroom we looked at, there was a Latino family living in that bedroom. It was a 4-bedroom house, and there were 4 different families living in that home, because they knew the value of living together, collectively saving their money. And we were shocked. I was like, Black people would never do anything like this.
That's right.
But you're absolutely right. We have to help our young people progress as opposed to just kicking them out the moment they're 18 or 22 or whatever. We have to do better.
That's so good. It's interesting. This is an interesting conversation because our daughter, she is 25, and she says she's not leaving home until she gets married. And I know at one time that wasn't James' mentality. His mentality is like, you know what? You're grown now. You need to get out and be on your own. But, he came to the understanding that, you know what? You're right. Nowadays, young people can't even afford to live on their own because it's so expensive, to live on their own. And because of COVID, they really can't be out there. They can't go to work. A lot of them lost their jobs. A lot of them had to leave college and come back home. So you're right. I like what you said, Mr. Coleman, of making sure your kids feel like your home is their home, so that they will have value in it, and that they can see the value of having a home. That was very key, very important.
And we always talk about leaving a legacy, and that is truly leaving a legacy to educate them and teach them about the value of home ownership.
That's right.
You know, how to build equity in the home. So if you sell that home, like you said, your son is on his second home. When you sell the first one, you gain income. You have equity in it, and that's what we like to teach our children now. And that's truly in teaching your children about legacy wealth, about building wealth. So when they get older, how to go about doing that.
So we want to see if anyone has any final questions for Dr. Nissa before she leaves the broadcast today. Anyone have any final questions?
If not, thank you all again so much, and I look forward to working with you again in the future. Now that we're connected, I'm just an email away. And congratulations to all that you are doing. Thank you again so much, and I look forward to seeing you all again. Remember, wedding list can be yours, and they can show you how.
That's right.
Oh, thank you so much for
Appreciate
being
it.
here. Thank you for creating National Black Marriage Day.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so thank you guys so much. So you guys, we are super, this is so good. Oh my gosh, this is so good. I've been a little emotional with the things that people have been saying and the things that people have been sharing, especially when she read that citation. I literally had goosebumps all over me because it's just really good to be recognized and noticed for the work that you're doing when you know that you work so hard and try so hard to make a difference in your community.
And that's what I was going to say. When you talk about community, how receiving that citation means we're making an impact in our community, and that makes you feel so proud, so warm and fuzzy that, okay, maybe I am doing something right if I'm impacting that community and someone is noticing.
That's right. That's right, honey. So you guys, we're gonna move right into our next speakers, which is James and Cynthia Greene of Marriage Built to Last. And we just want to share first why we started the Black Marriages Matter. First of all, when they had Black Lives Matter, ever since they started it, I've been a proponent of it. I've been like, rah, rah, rah. And 2019, because you couldn't go out there last year, I don't think. We went out to Black Lives Matter when they had the big, that wasn't 2020 when they wrote it in the streets?
Yes.
Okay, so we went up to DC when they had the big, when they put Black Lives Matters on the street. As you guys can see, we kind of use their logo as to create a logo for Black Marriages Matter, because Black Lives Matter, Black Marriages Matter. But yes, you guys, we do know that all marriages matter.
Yes.
All marriages matter. But we're talking about Black marriage because, like Dr. Nissa said, there's just aren't very many positive images of Black marriage on TV, on the news, in the media, on social media. There's just not in our communities, even in our churches. People aren't really talking about it, and they're not making a big deal about it. So we're making a big deal about it because it is super important that people know that there are strong Black marriages out here, and everybody can have one if they really want to. And the things that we're doing to help create that.
Right, and the key is that the misconceptions of Black marriages, and that's what bothers me sometimes about that misconceptions, to hear so many mixed messages about it, how no wonder people are confused. They say 50% of them get divorced. Some people hear over 50%. Some people hear 50%. That's why we focus on the positive of the 50% to try to increase that number, because yes, Black people do get married. A lot of people say, well, look at all these single people around here. And you heard Waller talk about it, about you should move, right, the statistic, and you should move where couples are, where Black marriages are, right? Because yes, Black people do get married, and we live in a community where I think almost everybody in this community is Black and married, right? Yes, educated Black women can find a husband, because we talk to educated women all the time, and they say, well, I can't find one. They're either gay, in prison, or something like that, or they're married outside their race. But no, Black women, educated ones, can find a Black husband. They are out there, trust me. And the scripture says, he who finds a wife finds a good thing and receives favor from the Lord. Trust me, that man is going to find you. That is true. And no, all Black men do not marry outside their race. You know, people have that conception of, well, no, they're marrying other, you know, outside the race. That's not true. There's a lot of people we talk to, and we know plenty of couples who are Black and married. So you can find that man. Men, you can find that educated Black woman. And no, everyone is not marrying outside their race. These statements can be discouraging, and they are truly just not accurate, because when people hear those messages, you know, they hope that it relates to their marriage. Well, fine. If you want to relate to your marriage, look at that positive. Look at those, just like we talked about the marriage ministries. Look at those marriage ministries, how they're striving. That's where you see positive Black marriages. And that's how you can model yourself after. That's how you can work hard. And we always say marriage is work. But trust me, it can be that fun work. You'll have fun working on it. Because you're doing it together, because, you know, it's something that you're building on. You're following your dreams, you're following your goals, but you're doing it together as a team.
So we're telling you why Black marriages matter. You've heard about it, heard it all day long. They affect our families, they affect our children, they affect our schools, they affect our businesses, they affect our education system, they affect our the gangs, the prison system, the mentality of the people in our community. They affect our community, and they affect our Black wealth. Because like Walla Blagay said, and like Dr. Nisa said, Black marriages create more Black wealth. So if we have more Black marriages in the Black communities, then we're going to have more wealth in the Black communities. So people talk all the time about how the marriage rates amongst Blacks have declined. Well, marriage has declined overall in America, is what we're talking about. It's really declined. And they say less and less young people are getting married. And I firmly believe that it's because they don't see positive depictions of marriage. Like I believe it was Walla was saying, she was in a room and they were like, why get married? They don't see the value in it because they're not seeing the fruits of your labor.
Right.
And so I'm telling you, that's why we're just so passionate about this. But according to the U.S. News report on marriage, young people are marrying later in life. Black women are less likely to marry at all. And we've heard this earlier today. We've heard the statistics. And there's higher rates of marital instability in the Black marriages and the Black communities compared to our white counterparts. And we've heard all of that today. So, you know, we want to encourage you to start looking for the positive marriages. And I'm going to tell you some ways you can do that. If you go on social media and you type in the word marriage, you're going to see all types of marriage groups, marriage pages, people who are marriage coaches and relationship experts. Connect to some of those groups. That's one way to get started, to connect to some of those groups on social media.
Right. And like Cynthia was saying, how, you know, young people are not getting married because of what they see. But let me tell you something. One of the problems we believe is that marriage couples are less likely to seek marriage help. And I guess for me, I'm from the old school, right? And when you're from the old school, it seems like you keep everything in house. You don't want to air your dirty laundry. Yeah. That's why a lot of times couples don't thrive, because they don't want to go seek help, you know? And so what did we taught? Suffer in silence. Don't tell nobody your business. Don't go to no stranger airing out all your dirty laundry, all the problems you have, and you suffer in silence, or you try to work it out in house. But let me tell you, you cannot, a lot of times you cannot do it alone. Sometimes you need help. Everyone cannot do everything alone. There's times when you have to seek help. Sometimes you have to have a moderator. You know, sometimes you have to have somebody intervene in the issues that the two of you may be having, because you can't resolve it between the two of you. You know, but that's an issue. Sometimes people are saying, well, I ain't going to no strangers. And I can say that was me myself. In my first marriage, I did that. I was one of them, and I'm just being transparent out here. I was one of the ones that says, I ain't telling no stranger my business. I'm not going to somebody I don't know and tell them everything all about me. I'm just not doing that. If we have a problem, we can solve it at home. And if we can't, I'm sorry, maybe we just can't solve it. That was me. That used to be me. But now that we're in the situation we're in, we help couples. And I have no problem with going to marriage events. I have no problem with going to like this Black Marriage Symposium. I have no problem with going to marriage coaching to learn how to build my marriage, to do say preventive maintenance. Now, right. To do preventive maintenance instead of corrective maintenance. So you do preventive maintenance, you go seek help, you go to these conferences, you learn how to build up your marriage, you learn how to come together and solve issues. That's preventive marriage before that time comes, before an issue comes up, before a conflict comes up. Instead of doing corrective maintenance. And what is corrective maintenance? Now you're trying to correct the issue now that it's already here. And a lot of times that's a little late. You know, so do that preventive maintenance. Don't try to correct it when it already comes. Try to prevent it before it even happens. You know, so that's why we celebrate black marriages. We celebrate it because we want to give people opportunity to grow their marriage. We want to give people an opportunity to seek help, to learn how they can strengthen their marriage, to learn how they can build it up, to learn how they can do that preventive maintenance instead of that corrective maintenance.
You know, another thing that that has affected people finding positive black marriages is that how we're portrayed out there in the media. You know, I get so angry, so upset sometimes. You're watching a good movie or a good TV show. I now use one of my favorites, which is Randall, what's that? Oh, This Is Us. And you got a couple on there who's in love or they're married and they're doing well and things are going well. And then the writers of the script want to have them break up.
I know.
Even on Blackish, you know, they have fun and they had a good marriage. And they had them split up for a little while. They had Randall and his wife about to split up for a little while, or they did split up for a little while. He was sleeping on the couch. You know, they always have to tear the marriages apart. Like nobody can have a great marriage. And so you see us portrayed negatively in news reports. You see us portrayed negatively on television programs. You see us portrayed negatively in movies. You hear us being portrayed negatively on these podcasts and radio shows. You guys, we have to change the narrative. We have to change the narrative. If you have a great marriage and you're on this broadcast right now, we want you to type in the feed, I have a great marriage. Don't be ashamed. Don't be shy. Type in the chat or in the feed, I have a great marriage, or I love my man, or I love my woman. Type it in there, you guys. This is interactive. We want you to be a part. So type it in there if you love your man, you love your woman, or you have a great marriage. And so we have to change the narrative of how we're being portrayed. And I like what Dr. Nissa said about either taking the pictures and putting them in a museum. You can take the pictures, put them up in your local community center. You know, you don't have to be marriage coaches and be certified like we are to have a marriage event in your neighborhood or have a marriage event in your church. If you don't have a marriage ministry in your church, then talk to your pastor about starting one. If you have a passion for your marriage, then you can be the ones to help start it, because you can have a passion, you know, that you create a passion for other people to have a great marriage like yours.
That's right. And just think, the more we celebrate, the more we talk about, the more resources that we seek, the more times we share our story, the greater marriages and relationships and the families will be. And now, according to Wedded Bliss, that's what Dr. Nishi was talking about.
That's her company.
That's her company, right. There's a few benefits from a satisfying relationship, and that's the health benefits. You know, it's less stress. You become more healthy. You have a better relationship with your children. And that's what I talked about earlier, interdependent versus independent. Instead of being independent and going out there and seeking gangs or other people out on the streets, you have that interdependency within the household, you know? And come on, how many of us, a lot of us don't want to grow old alone. You have somebody to grow old with. That's another benefit. And another one is that decrease in substance abuse. When you have that positive black couple and those positive people around you, couples, you know, you won't suffer in silence. You'll have a support system. You'll have somebody you can turn to. What I always like to say, you have an accountability partner. Somebody,
so good.
And somebody you could call if you're struggling. Somebody you could call to depend on. Somebody that could just talk to you and walk you through things, you know?
And James and everybody on this broadcast today have mentioned reasons why black marriages matter.
Yes.
It matters because it affects our kids. They're visual. They're watching us. They see what we're doing. It matters about their children's children, the generations to come, the legacy that we leave, behind us when we're gone. Legacy is not about wealth. It's not only about wealth. It's not only about money. It's not only about the one thing. Your legacy is what your kids see you doing every single day. Whether that's positive or whether that's negative, we want it to be positive. We want them to see you having a healthy, happy, successful, and prosperous marriage.
Right. And, you know, we like to talk about the resources. A lot of times, you know, well, I know before the resources out there for Black couples or Black families weren't there. You know, other races had those resources. So a lot of times we didn't have them, but now we have them. And Cynthia and I are proof that you can go to people, you can go to Black coaches, you can go to Black counselors. The resources are there. So we encourage you, if you're having an issue, if you're having a problem, seek out those resources. Those resources aren't there by happenstance. Those resources are there for a reason, for you to use them. You know, don't be embarrassed. Other couples are having some of the same issues you may be having. So don't be embarrassed to go out there and use some of those resources that are out there. You know, as long as we focus on the future when it comes to marriage, we can have a great marriage. Just think, you may think living together is just okay, but you're not seeing the true benefit of being married. You're not seeing the health benefit. You're not seeing the insurance benefit. We already talked about earlier about the financial benefit, how if you're married, you make more money. Just think of the insurance benefit. Because when you have your spouse or your family on your insurance, you're earning more money because it's less for a group rate than it is for a single person. You know, just like buying a car insurance, if you have your family on a car or even your child, if they get of age and get a car, it's cheaper to have more people on your insurance. And that way, when it's cheaper, you can take that extra money and save the extra money. You can invest the extra money. So you actually build wealth. You know, these are the benefits of being married instead of just living together. Because if you live together, both of you are on separate insurance, and that's higher than the both of you together.
Right. So share in the feed how you believe Black marriages matter.
Right.
Share with us how you believe Black marriages matter and what you and your spouse are doing to build wealth or to build a strong Black marriage. So like James said, there's so many ways that a marriage can be positive for the family, for the community, and for the Black economy. Through us building wealth, through joining our finances, joining our homes, we're decreasing debt, having a two-parent household for our children. Married men make more money. Married men are more healthy. We got someone there to support us and to connect with and to do things with. We are stronger in the community. Our home values increase more when you're in a two-parent household and when you're living in a community where there's a lot of other Black married couples, because you've joined together and it increases the wealth in that community. So we've given you guys a lot. We I just want you guys to know that if you need the tools, you want more tools, reach out to us to, get a free consultation. I'll type it in the feed, but reach out to us to get a free consultation. We're here to mentor you. If you want to start some type of marriage group or marriage ministry in your church or a marriage couples group in your neighborhood, we're here to mentor you and coach you through that. We're here to give you a free consultation if you need some help with your marriage.
Right.
You just want to talk to somebody. So just reach out to us at calendly.com/MB2L/30MIM, 30 minutes. And so I'll ask our assistant to go ahead and type that in the feed for us. That's https://www.calendly.com/MB2L/30MIM. Reach out to us if you need any help. We're here for you.
That's right.
We want to assist you. We want to meet your needs however we can.
Right.
Even if it's starting a mentoring program for couples, a mentoring program for kids, whatever it is, reach out to us and we'll connect you to the right resources.
Right. And we just want to celebrate Black marriages because we know a lot of people don't. Just like Dr. Muhammad, she even said that you go to, say, a different race family and you can see 4 bedrooms and it's 4 different families. And we as Blacks just don't do that. But if we start celebrating Black marriages, we'll reduce that negativity. See, and Cynthia talked about it. You see it on the news, You see it in movies. You see it in TV shows. They always try to portray black marriages as bad or black couples getting divorced. I mean, that's what they portray. But as we celebrate more and more black marriages, we'll reduce that negativity. We'll show that there's positive out there. And like Cynthia and I said, join our In Love and Loving It Academy, because we talk about the 50% that are doing great. You know, it says, well, 50% of marriages end in divorce. Yeah, but what about the other 50%? Nobody ever seems to want to talk about. Right. What about those couples that are thriving? What about those couples that are doing good? What about those couples that are growing together? And as we always say, if you're not growing together, then what are you doing? You're growing apart. And that's what we don't want. And if you join In Love and Loving It Academy, you'll know how to, you'll get the necessary tools. You'll know how to build your marriage. You'll know how to grow your marriage. Come on, we want you to grow together. That's because right. As time goes on, people evolve, people change, and we want you to change with the times. And what is that saying? We want you to grow your marriage together with the times. We want you to build up your marriage. And you know, everyone's talking about this year. This year is leveling up. This year is about going to the next level. So we want to help you take your marriage to the next level. We want to help you level up in your marriage. And what does that mean? More communication, doing more things together, growing together. You know, and we heard Pastor Bernard and his wife, Pastor Vicky, say so. She learned football so she could sit there with him, you know. And we always say, if you do one thing with your husband, then the husband will do one thing with their wife. So if you want him to go to the store with you, or you want him to go, maybe you need to go to the gym with him. Maybe you need to go to a baseball game or football game or something that he does or he likes to do. And then he'll do something that you like to do. And that way, now you're doing things together. Now you're building that relationship up.
Oh, yes. So right now, you guys, we're going to, we have a panel. We have some people on here that you can ask some questions. So if we can go to full screen view with everybody on the screen, we have a panel of some relationship experts, some thought leaders who are going to come on to answer any questions that you have. If we can get the full screen up, Vernie, that would be awesome.
I thought you were doing it.
I gave her host
okay.
duties. So I hope she's listening so that we can get everybody up on the screen. Let's just see. I don't think I can do it anymore, but we're going to introduce our panelists.
There we go.
I think I was able. I think you guys can see everyone on the screen now. We're still waiting on Dr. Dwayne Buckingham. He texted me. He should be popping on any minute now. I can't see him. Dwight and Deidre, are you here? Dwight and Deidre, are you there? Well, we just want to reach out to our audience to see if you guys have any questions. Do you guys have any questions right now? But,
or comments.
Or comments. But first of all, I'm going to let Rochelle introduce herself. Minister Rochelle, can you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Ms. Greene.
Yes.
Hey, one thing you forgot to mention, black couples save more money for children education or for the next home.
That's right.
And I'll be the second to say I'm on my second marriage, and so is my wife. And one thing in the first marriage, my wife was basically first to get married in her group, a single group, and she basically kept that single mentality that basically didn't separate single from being married, but I was not for the divorce, but she wanted to technically be more with her single girlfriend than in a marriage situation. We had 2 children at the time. But it is important that when you have problems to seek help, and it's definitely good for the children because you divide the children between the 2 parents, who they're going to stay with, et cetera, et cetera. So in my case, we had 2 sons, and the oldest son elected to stay with me. The younger son went with his mother, and when the oldest son went to college, then the younger son came to me. So that kind of messed up a little bit because she thought that she definitely was empty nest at that time. But one thing I want to bring out is that by our black women being more educated, with degrees, they have a high degree of being independent.
Mm-hmm.
But there's an dependency that you really need to make a marriage work. And I tell the high school young ladies that they need to value themselves more. When you value yourself more, then the boy or the young man will honor you more by you not bending to his request. And you learn to have trade-offs that you want more out of life than the so-called booty call or the next link on the chain. And I say to young ladies, if you want to get married, you go talk to a married woman that's been married for years, because she could tell you how to deal with your feminine issues. You know, we tell the boy one thing, the son, and then we tell the daughter another thing, and there are mixed messages that we give to our children, and that's too as a mistake as learning how to honor a woman by marrying her, especially you come from a married family.
Right.
I've already said, most of our black families right now, they don't have the marriage image to pull from. And sometimes an uncle, auntie, a first cousin, or somebody in the family could help you out more, because the children are under a lot of pressure and they yield to that, which creates problems in our black society. So I just wanted to put that little input out there.
And that's good. You are so right, because I could say, and we're just being transparent here, that Cynthia and I, this is both of our second marriage. And we don't say our second marriage, we say this is our final marriage, because we're because we're getting it right. But I see what you're saying. I was like your wife was when I first got married in my first marriage. I was still had that independent thinking. I was thinking of a single individual. And that's only because, like I said earlier, that how children are visual. And I was raised by a single mother. There was 5 of us and we had a single mother. So all I knew is what I saw. And if I saw a single mother providing for all of us, that's how I thought. So all I did was provide. I didn't cultivate the marriage. I didn't communicate well. I didn't do none of those things in my first marriage, because I was thinking as an individual. And as long as I was providing, I thought the marriage was great, but it wasn't. So one day, I could say at that time, I had about 4 jobs. So when I came home from my second job one day, the house was empty. She had took the kids, she had packed everything, she was gone. I came home to an empty house. And I didn't see it coming. That's why now me and Cynthia is on this mission to help couples. Because for me, as far as a man, I don't want this to ever happen to any man ever. What happened to me. So that's why I'm here to encourage them. I'm here to help them say, seek those resources, do them things that you have to do. Don't suffer in silence like I did. Don't feel, well, I'm not going to them stranger and tell them all my business. You know, seek that help. We all can't do it alone. But Mr. Golden, you are so right in what you said. And I want to thank you for that.
At this time, we want to start our panelists, and we have Dr. Dwayne Buckingham on here. We have Ministers Dwight and Deidre Russo, and we have Rochelle McAllister. We're going to go ahead and get started with introductions. We'll start with Rochelle, then Buckingham, and then the Russos. So go ahead and introduce you guys. Tell people who you are, what you do, what your company is.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Cynthia and James, for having this wonderful platform, Marriage Built to Last. We thank God for each and every person that's on the call and all of the great information that has been shared. But my name is Rochelle McAllister, and I am the founder of Single Parent Achievers, which is an organization that's dedicated to improving single parents' quality of life. And so that is what we do, and we do that by hosting workshops on parenting, health and wellness, and finance to provide the knowledge that is needed and that is necessary for single parents to make better decisions for themselves and their children. And I know that there was a whole lot of things that was said on the call, and I'm so glad to be a part of a community that really focused on helping single parents, because my life most definitely was one time, I used to be a single parent. I am now married to my lovely husband, and we have a wonderful marriage, my second time around. He had 5 children and I had 4 children, and so we have a blended family of 9. So we have an amazing blended family of 9 children, and we have this amazing organization that we still decided that we needed to run even after our lives evolved into us getting married after knowing each other for 20 years and now have been married for 6. So that is my introduction, and I actually am truly an advocate for single parents, and I think that was the only thing that I was supposed to say.
All right. Dr. B? Dr. Buckingham?
Oh, I was waiting for the ladies. Ladies first, ladies up, ladies up. I was waiting, so I can go ahead and jump in. Not new to the stage with Cynthia and James. They're old schooler, old timers in this marriage business, and I've joined them on many occasions. As a licensed clinical psychotherapist, I've been in the field for 22 years. Track record includes about 30,000 clients from around the world, including military time, 22 years in a uniform. And I have a consultant business, Buckingham Consultant Group. And under that umbrella, I have coaching. I'm a certified coach, and I do therapy under my company called Real Therapy. And the Real Therapy is abbreviated: realistic approach, rational expectation, positive attitude, and unconditional love. And I say to couples, if you come my way, we're doing real work. If you're not ready to work, don't come see Dr. Buckingham.
No, that's right.
So that's who I am, and I'm glad to be on the stage again with these power couples.
All right. Ministers Dwight and Deidre Russo.
Thank you so much, James and Cynthia, once again. You guys are phenomenal, always putting together an awesome topic out in the atmosphere for those who are willing to learn and partake in whatever they need to for the betterment of their marriage, for their relationships. Like I said, my name is Dwight. This is my wife, Deidre. We have a marriage ministry called Together Marriages. I'm going to talk about that because she's the better half. The Bible says the man that finds of a wife, right, finds of a good thing and obtains favor. So that's my favor. This is my favor. This is my good thing. As long as I'm obedient to the Lord, I reap the benefits of what He says. And I mentor men, husbands, because when it comes to men, we falter, we fail in relationships. The reason why it goes back to day one. We don't communicate well. We blame shift when we fail in our areas in life. We have to take responsibility for our own actions. But until a man realizes and understands what God called him to be and to perform in this world today when it comes to a wife, he would never get it right until he's under someone's mentorship. That's right. It's a learning process. No matter how long you've been married, how old you are, there's always room to grow. But you gotta have an open heart. Because you want the betterment of your marriage. Amen. That's all I'm saying right now.
Amen.
Amen. Well, we are Together Marriages. We started Together Marriages back in 2009. We had an issue in our marriage. This is my second marriage. My first marriage, my ex-husband cheated, and his mistress was at our wedding. Fast forward, I remarried, and I had an issue with forgiveness. And, as a result of that, we started Together Marriages in 2009. And then I have a wives ministry. I minister to wives, and it's called Truly Well Wives. I started that in 2010. So we do a lot of things with wives. We do Wives on Fire slumber parties. I host a Wives on Fire dialogues. We do a lot of different things. Right now, we're in the midst of our Wives on Fire boot camp, which is leading to our Wives on Fire Society for Ambassadors. Also, my husband and I, we work separately because he worked with the husbands with the Husband Huddle. I work with the wives, but together we have a radio show, a Marriage on Fire radio show. We do a date night every 4th Friday, and we do a Marriage on Fire retreat. And this is our 10th year. This year we're going to Sandals and St. Lucia. So we've been doing that. We partner with Sandals. We're Sandals wedding moon specialists. So we host one-of-a-kind retreats that are tropical, and you can learn. Not only are you on vacation, but you're learning how to map your marriage. So that's some of the things that we do. And again, we appreciate James and Cynthia for always, looking out for us, calling on us, and this has been a blessing. And we pray that you're enjoying it as much as we are.
All right.
All
So,
right.
so if we can get the full view, that would be great. We're gonna ask the panelists some questions, and whoever feels compelled to jump in and answer it first, that will be fine. So, our first question we want to ask you, because we want this broadcast to help somebody who may have got on because they're struggling in their marriage and they might be on the verge of divorce. Like, we don't like that word, the D word. But we want to ask you guys that if someone is struggling right now, what advice would you give them to turn things around in their relationship? One little piece of advice that they could do to turn their relationship around.
Well, I would, encourage the spouse to put themselves in the other spouse's shoes, because a lot of times we blame shift our spouse, but if we can put ourselves in those shoes and see what they're experiencing, then that'll make us come together, have a meeting of the mind, and figure out where do we need to go from there. So I think that we need to sit down and have a conversation and lead us to where we need to go.
Anyone else?
I always have something for my husband and I, which is a beautiful thing that we have. I think communication most definitely is key and to any conflict. And I think that if someone does have a situation, I believe that the woman has a conflict, the man has a conflict, two individuals that have two different conflicts, but you got to communicate what those things are so that you can find that resolve. It's so very important. In order to get to the resolve, you got to find a way to communicate. And someone told us a long time ago about the meet process, sitting down and really listening to what your spouse has to say. And when you listen, to repeat back what it is that's being said, because just making sure that there's clarity on what it is that's being heard.
All right, awesome.
Okay.
Anyone else on the panel, or we'll move to the next question?
I'll just add that you always should look in before you look out. Whenever there's conflict or you're in a dark place or a deep place, I think it's easy for most people to project as opposed to do some introspection. And so it's important for you, if you're in a tough place, to look at it, see, and ask yourself, have you actually done the work that needs to be done personally before you expect it of your spouse? I mean, that's key, because I think when you're troubled, we don't look in, we look out. And when we're troubled, you should look in before you look out, so that you have clarity in working through the issues that are right in front of you.
Okay, good. So I got a next one. This is Black Marriages Matter. And, when we do Black Marriages Matter, we talk about the community, we talk about the families. So my question is, why do you think the media portrays Black marriages and Blacks in general so negatively? And also, what can we do to change that negative description of Blacks? Yeah, that negative portrayal.
For me, it's fairly easy in terms of when you hand people something, it's easy for them to run with it. And so if the media looks at you a certain way, then we have to be mindful of not reinforcing those very images. Now, how they project us, I see that, people say there's some truth to some things. And so when they project us in certain lights, a lot of us like to get defensive. For me personally, though, if you put it out there, they run with it. So I tell people, check yourself and pay attention to what you're giving the media and feeding it to the media. The media doesn't necessarily influence the way you think and act. You decide that. And I'm going to leave with that, because, we kind of can look at what's being portrayed, but your images of yourself is actually always decided and determined by you, not what they portray. But your reaction to the media actually reinforces some of the very things they're putting out there about us as Black people and in love. So we love hard, but we fight hard too.
That's good. Anyone else?
For me personally, I think we as a people, we are a broken people first and foremost. But until we decide on what we're going to do for ourselves and not no one else, we're going to stay stuck where we are. And what I mean by that is, everybody know about the march, right? Black Lives Matter, right? We talk about Black marriage, but we're talking Black Lives Matter, right? We all run to the defense when another culture murders or kills one of us, right? But when we do it to ourselves, we stand down. We don't come to the forefront. So until we want to fight for ourselves, we're going to stay exactly where we are.
That's so good.
That's good.
Wow. Anyone else?
You know, I'm listening to both, and I'm just thinking about, you know, because I deal with single parents, you know, and I'm just thinking about life in general. But the slave mentality that we have, and if we don't have great examples before us, then we're going to act out what it is that we see. And so, again, like we talked about changing the narratives, that's the most important thing that we can do, to give the examples so that they can begin to act out what it is that they see. Because with what it is that we have, where people are acting out what it is they see, is exactly what they see. If they're seeing 50% less, you know, marriages, you know, in Black community, but we want to focus on the 50 that's doing good, but also understand the 50 that's not doing so good. But I just believe that it's the example as far as what it is that they see. That's what they act out. I mean, I don't have another way to say it. I just think that that's what it is. Whatever it is that they see, that's what they do. If it's in our home, they see it, they take it outside. Not saying they can't pick up something from somewhere else, but at the end of the day, I just believe that, you know, they portray what it is that they see. And so that's how I look at it.
You know, we've gotten a lot of great tips on this broadcast today, but I just want to hear from you guys. You know, they're saying a lot of young people are not getting married these days. They just don't see the value. So I just want you to just think for a moment. If a young person was standing in front of you and they had a girlfriend or boyfriend, or they're living with them, or, you know, they just don't think that, you know, marriage is the way to go these days. I just want to know, what would you say to encourage them, or to really get them thinking differently on why they should marry, or why marriage is important, you know, why people should get married in general? What would you say to that young person? Like, really a young person who has no clue, never seen a great marriage, you know, but they really, you know, got someone they really like. What would you say?
Well, with marriage, we forget what the purpose of marriage is.
Come on.
Everyone looks at the worldly aspect of it, white picket fence and all of that kind of, but we got to take it back to where it originated. God created marriage, and then He said it was good. And not only that, it was His idea, so it was a good idea. You know, Jesus married the church, and He gave His life for church. And that's where it started from. So if we can direct them to, you know, the Bible, because that's where it started, no matter what, whoever say, that's where it started. And then, so they look at us. They look at our faults, because we're not directing them to the word. We're doing our own worldly things. And so if they can see a true marriage, I know growing up, I always say, I didn't see, my parents separated when I was 4. I'm number 10 of 11 children. And so I saw my marriages from the Evans, good times. You know, I saw them always struggling. They stayed together, they made work, but they always struggled. And then in Jefferson, they moved on up, you know, but George was always doing something. And Weezy always had to, you know, balance the things out. And then the Cosbys came, you know, with the children. And so they were the marriages that I saw. I didn't see an actual marriage because people were doing their own things. I didn't learn what marriage was truly about until I got saved. I was a born-again believer running to see what the end is going to be like. So we got to take it back to the Word of God. We want to show them what we're doing. We have a great marriage. The first 10 years of our marriage to me was raggedy. Our marriage went from raggedy to good. That is great. But because we're focusing on what the Word of God says. It's not about what Jesus says. It's not about what the white says. It's about what the Word of God says. And if God said it, He meant it, and that settles it.
Go ahead, girl.
Absolutely love it. I want to chime in on that. I love that. I just wrote a book, and in the end of the book, this is how I closed it out, because my first marriage was most definitely interesting. My second one is absolutely great, and it's most definitely in alignment with God's purpose for my life. So the second time around, that's how it happened for me. But in my book, I talk about how I believe in kingdom marriage, right? Because in the beginning, when I first got married, I didn't know what a kingdom marriage even looked like. But I believe in kingdom marriage now. So I have a quote that says that I am a firm believer. I'm a firm believer that man matches attraction, but God matches the anointing. And when you think about that, that's everything that you just said, Minister Deidre. At the end of the day, we're not going to the Word of God, finding the principles, even understanding who we are, getting married before we even know who we are, whose we are. And so if you look at it where it's talking about kingdom marriage, it's like, yeah, a man's eyes that don't understand, that's immature, they're going to most definitely go toward the attraction. But a woman and a man that is mature in Christ, they're going to do what? They're going to be attracted to that God, because God is the anointing. So they're going to be attracted to that. That's what's going to kind of, bring them into choosing the right mate. So I think that it's very important to do that. And one more thing too, is I think that, even beforehand, I think a lot of people were, really masking in life. So therefore, if you're in a house and you're talking about the Jeffersons and all of those individual stories, which were great stories that we looked at, I think too that the parents didn't really share a lot. So we had like the perception of what we thought was, and it really wasn't. We were not given the tools or the resources or provided the information that we needed so that we can make a sound decision. And that's not what happened in a lot of households, including mine. So therefore, I most definitely got it right the second time, but the first time, an immature, little girl made that decision, but I'm a mature woman at this time. Thank you, guys.
Dr. Buckingham, anything?
Yeah, so I agree with everything that was said. Specifically, I always try to balance theology and psychology. And so for me, we have divorce rate is at 50%, and you have these young people who look at that and say, why take that chance?
Right.
I may land on the other side of that 50%. And so, and these are the same ones that we see are in church every Sunday, shouting, praying, this and that, right? Even our single, but then they're sleeping up with the guy the next day. So what is the broken issue here for me? I don't think it's always a matter of theology or psychology. I think it's a matter of both. So what I say to people, because marriage was created by God for us, but through his blessings and whatnot, is that you can have broken people who still get married. So I tell people, get some mental health counseling and figure out what marriage is before you say I do. Because after you in it and you've taken those vows, praying don't necessarily, as I see, heal broken people who are not ready to do the work. And so I do a lot of therapy. And I would say to young people, before you say I do, make sure you understand what that means and who it is on both levels, spiritually and psychologically, theology and psychology. Both of them go hand in hand, but I would tell them to build it on a spiritual basis and work through that so that you can learn how to heal psychologically. Build a marriage spiritually because it's created for God, but build it based on getting some healing for those demons that you might bring to the table.
And you know what, Dr. Buckingham, you make a great point because yes, marriage was created by God. Yes, this is a spiritual thing, and we all know that, but we're mature adults. Our young adults that we may be talking to aren't where we are spiritually. They don't know the word like that. And even if they open up the Bible and read it, they're not going to understand it the way that we might want them to or think that they should, because they don't know how to ask the Holy Spirit to give them that discernment and that understanding. So it is important that we as couples who do have great marriages, that we just let them know the things that we've done. We let them know the great marriage that we have. We let them know the respect that we have for marriage. We let them know why we think marriage is a great entity. We give them some of these things we talked about today on these this event. Name some of the great reasons what the benefits are, but take them to the word and show it to them in the word. Give them some specific scriptures to share. Come on, y'all. We know that young people aren't going to do the work. We got to hold their hand a little bit. We got to give them a little bit more oomph. And like Dr. Buckingham, we got to help them to become a whole person and just know what it means when they say, I do.
You can't have two whole people with one broken person.
That's
exactly.
Right.
But I'm not one that believes that you can take a person who's broken and bring them into marriage and have that I do this work. Again, I'm just talking from a psychology standpoint. To your point, Cynthia, I tell married couples, if you really want to help single people, mentor them. But what I see happening in a lot of churches, the singles get into the marriage space after they're married.
Yep.
But I speak to a lot of pastors. Do you all actually have a mentoring program where the married couples are mentoring singles, not after they get married, but to help them understand what marriage is all about so that they can make an informed decision with great mentorship? And a lot of the churches that I speak in, they don't necessarily have that in place. They have singles events and marriage events. And I say, do you all have any co-events?
That's it.
Go ahead, baby.
You talk at the single people, but do you talk with them? There's a difference.
That's right.
And that's funny.
Interesting you say that, because James and I, we joined forces with the young
The
adult ministry
ministry,
at our
so
church
we could do
and said,
what you were
let's
saying.
collaborate and do some things
Yep.
together, just like what you said can happen. And the thing too, I respect our pastor so much, because the whole month of January has been about the whole month of February has been about relationship, and it was supposed to be over for March, and they're still talking about it, because they're talking to the married people, they're
And
talking
the
to the
singles.
single people, and they're talking to us all about how we can support and learn from one another. The teaching has been so good, you guys. If you really want to hear some good relationship teaching, go on Facebook, look up our pastors, Tony and Cynthia Brazelton, Victory Christian Ministry International. Listen to those recordings. They are awesome. Like, I have been teaching on talking about marriage for 13 years now, and I have learned a lot, and I have gone back and listened to some of those broadcasts. But you guys make a really great point.
Right. And here's I'm going to the next question.
Okay.
Here's the next question. Like this is Cynthia and I both our second marriage, and I think Rochelle talked about her second marriage, and Deidre talked about her second marriage, and even the Colemans. And we know that, and you want to talk biblically, Joseph wasn't Jesus's biological father. So we know that the blended family is starting to become the #1 type family in America. So let me ask you, give 2 tips on how families can blend successfully.
And we're almost out of time, so give us 2 quick tips.
Forgiveness is always key.
What did you say, Deidre? I'm sorry, I missed that.
Forgiveness.
Okay.
Big thing with blended families, because sometimes we bring baggage in our marriage. I know I brought baggage in my marriage from, my first marriage. I brought gangsterness in, and my husband shut that all down. This is not that. And so it was a lot of forgiveness, and we had to figure it out. So that's #1 as far as blended family.
2 things real quick, Rochelle. Because you've done it well with 9 kids in a blended family.
Come on.
2 things real quick.
I'm so sorry. I got distracted. So 2 things.
To help families blend successfully, entering into a blended family.
So I would think that it's very important to, when you're coming into a blended family, it's definitely learning how to govern over how you're going to raise your family. I think, and when I say that, govern over finances, govern over your spiritual, govern how you're going to raise your children, how are you going to discipline them together, how are you going to do everything. I think you have to have that communication about all those different areas to know how to govern yourself in a new blended family.
And is that James there?
No.
Oh, okay.
All right, Dr. Buckingham.
Yeah, from a psychotherapist standpoint, now I don't think you're in a blended family, but from a psychotherapist,
I'm sure he's
he studied it.
Yes. A whole bunch of them.
Yes, I have. Basically, the first thing, when people come into therapy, we develop goals, treatment goals. So for blended families, I say the same thing. Make sure you have realistic goals. And this is not the Brady Bunch. Accept your family for what it is and what they bring to the table. Like Minister just saying, is that look at what you bring to the table, set the goals on the front end, and then work the goals. And what I mean by goals, why did God bring us together? Be very clear about why you were brought together, establish that platform, and work it.
All right. So at this time, we want to know if the viewers have any questions for the panelists right now. Any questions from the panelists? Because we're going to get ready to wrap it up. And panelists, I want you to be ready to share your closing remarks. But any questions from the viewers right now?
Hi, Coleman again. I'll make a statement, then you could come back on it. My statement is, women in general don't understand the psyche of men. And although most families show the woman as the leader in the family, we got away from the African proverb that when a child is born, the father names the child. Today, the woman names the child. When a man put his name on it, he claims it, and he is willing to do more for it. The example is the man's car, his motorcycle, his boat, his material things, and the child become part of that possession. And if the woman would keep that carrot on the pole in front of the man, no, this your child. You take care of this child. And you become the so-called surrogate mother to the child. The women today have kicked the men out of being a dad. No, right. He's a father, but he's not a dad. So I want y'all to expand on that, because that's one thing I be trying to tell women. Keep the man in with his child, and he will do more. He'll be a better father than just a male. And there's it's closer to that, but we need to cross that line into making that father the dad.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
That's really good. Anybody in the panel want to address that?
Let me ask you a question first. Are you talking about namesake?
I'm talking about the having the ability or the right to name their child.
I think men do have the right to name their children, but when a retrospect, listen, I'm a male also, but in the world today, I'm talking about as a black person in the world, if you look at the statistics, most fathers has left the household, left their children, abandoned their children. For what? Look it up, read about it. Men have left their children at the house for their woman to take care of. Why? Because they feel as though they're not getting the headship that they want. But my thing is, it's a union. It's like the two shall become one. So I think most of the time, men want to rule. Here we go. Men want to rule their relationship, but yet they don't want to take no headship from the Lord. And when you got a man that want to rule their household, but not being governed by the Lord's footsteps, he's going to run every time. Every time he's going to escape. That's why there's so many broken homes today, because men are leaving the households. Why? Because they feel as though they're not getting what they want out of the relationship from their wife, their girlfriend, whoever it may be. But my thing is, you have a responsibility as a man to take care of what you have put out there in the world. And men are so stubborn. And that's why I love the scripture. Say, when I was a man, I spoke as a child, I acted as a child, but when I became a man, now you going into adulthood. But most men are still acting childish.
Mm-hmm.
Understand? But until they grow up, they take their share of responsibilities, they always going to run and leave the household. It's not about why they don't do it, why the woman not allowing them to name their sake or whatever. It's not about that. You got to fight for what you believe in. Men are not willing to fight and stay.
That's right.
That's the point. That's honest. That's truth.
Amen.
I think it goes both ways too. I think that, the men are not doing their part, but then there are women that are accepting men that are not doing their part. And so that's where single parent achievers come in at, to make sure that women our parents really are equipped to be able to go even into a blended family, because everyone that I deal with as far as being in single parent achievers, they're going to end up in a blended family, period. So it goes away from the naming, because now when they do get married, we're hoping that through what it is that has been provided to them, as far as the knowledge that has been provided to the woman and also the man, because single parent achievers is for the male and the female, male and female. So therefore, if they're both coming in and getting healed from their past generational traumas, that's what's going to change everything. And then the man will be in the household. We'll have more people, men in the house, because they understand how to be in the house. But right now, I just think that, we just, again, with all that we're saying, it's all about being the example, so that if we are the example set before them, they can act out what the example that they saw or have seen, And then they will be the man that stay in the household. They will be the man that, marry that woman, be the man that, birth the child with that woman and name that child and actually take ownership in that child having his name, whether boy or girl, and he's raising that child being the head of the household and not just a partaker of that moment and then just disappear. So I think it comes on both sides, where it's the male and female, because the male isn't ready, immature. The woman isn't ready, immature, because two immature people are picking each other. And that's why we end up with situations where we have single parents, raising their children, because the woman actually, more women stay and make sure that the children, it wasn't their fault. So they determined to make sure that they stay and raise their children and give their children what it is that they need. So I think it's kind of, it goes both ways for me.
Dr. Buckingham, did you want to chime in, or are we going to have you guys give your closing remarks? We want to be respectful of everyone's time.
I can start with my closing remarks.
Okay.
If you like.
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, so I'll just end up with my closing remarks would actually be that I just like to share 5 truths about marriage as my actual closing remarks. More so my little quotes, but here's my closing remarks would be that the quality of your marriage reflects your focus. Let that sink in. So wherever your marriage is, that also reflects your focus. Number 2, marriage is a gift that thrives on gratitude. Number 3, marriage isn't fair, but it's worth the commitment. Marriage without service to your spouse is self-centeredness. And then lastly, your marriage does not define you, but how you treat your spouse does. So all of those are my closing remarks, and those quotes just really pretty much summarize to say that marriage for me is really about how you interact with the person that you made a commitment to. And once we begin to look outward, after we look in, that's when I believe that you can have a successful marriage. Look inward and then look outward, and you can get this thing right. So that's my closing remarks. Thank you.
All right. Rochelle, you can go.
I'm sorry, I was muted, technology. But my closing remarks will be that I'm so very thankful for being on the panel. I'm very thankful for being on. So mine would be that for every single parent that's out there, for any parent that's out there, why don't you figure out how to make sure that you can learn from your past mistakes in reference to what it is that you have done. Because if you don't learn from the mistake, you will continue to repeat the pattern. And I just think that it's very, very important for single parents to be able to, really understand what it is that they have done so that they do not make the same decisions all over again. I don't know if those closing remarks are the best, but maybe I'll leave better off with the marriage thing, and that is man matches attraction, but God matches the anointing. So I pray to God that each individual that's out there, if you have not ever been married before, that you will choose wisely and allow the Lord to lead you in that direction, and not your physical without the spiritual support. And that will be it for me. Thank you.
Russo's?
Closing remarks. Marriage is a willingness to be unhappy for a while. What I mean by that, you remember the altar, the vows that you made. There were good times and there were bad times, right? Rich or poor, sickness and health, life and death. There are good times in your marriage, there are bad times in your marriage. But you have to be willing to accept what's going to happen in your marriage without running. You have to fight for what you believe in, fight for your marriage. You got to stick and stay. Remember that. A willingness to be unhappy for a while. That was my closing remarks. Thank you so much.
Deidre?
As I always say, marriage is a good idea because it's God's idea. When we go through in our marriage, God created it, so we need to take it back to God, because God knows what to do even when we don't.
Okay, so James and I want to reiterate, a strong marriage creates a very strong family. A very strong family creates an awesome and amazing community. And when you have all three of those things in place, our Black economy will thrive. That's what today has been about. That's what we're shouting about throughout this year. Again, we are all about this. This is the year of the totally strong, confident couple. We are applauding and encouraging couples who have awesome marriages. That represents the speakers that we've had on today, who are representing today with couples who care about their marriages. We thank the viewers who've come on who are looking to grow their marriages, and the ones who already have an amazing marriage. We thank you, those of you who joined us from around the world. Thank you for coming in from Nigeria, Africa today. Thank you, Louisiana. Thank you, Tennessee. And those of you who are on here from other places in America and around the world, we're just super, super proud of you. We thank the state of Maryland for presenting us with the citation today. We're so honored. We're so blessed. And honey, go ahead and share what you have to share.
Well, I just want everyone to remember, like Dwight said, and like Deidre said, that it's God's design. Marriage is God's design. And we want you to remember the second commitment. The first commitment is that you committed to get married, that you committed to each other. But we want you to remember the second commitment. Now that you've committed, what are you committed to do to make sure your marriage can grow, that your marriage can go to the next level? And I want you to remember what marriage is. Two imperfect people who covenanted together to glorify God in their imperfect state. None of us are perfect. But you cannot focus on those imperfections if you truly want to get everything that God has for your marriage. We just want you to remember that, and to focus on the we in the marriage. It's not about I. It's not about what I can do. It's not about what I have to do to make it work. It's about what can we do together? What can we do to make it work? How can we make our marriage grow? That's what I want you to focus on. It's been a pleasure. I want to thank everybody who's been on. I want to thank all the panelists. I want to thank everybody who's joined. This was awesome. We're truly honored about that citation about impact the community. Cynthia and I's vision was to impact the community where we live. And getting this award means we're actually doing that. And I believe it's truly an honor. It's by God's design that all of this is happening. It says in John 15:16, we didn't choose him. He chose us. That we produce that fruit, and we continue to produce that fruit that he gave us. He gave us that ability. He gave us everything that we have. And we just want you to remember that. And we just want to thank you all.
Yes, you guys reach out to us if you have any questions at info@marriagebuilttolast. You can go to our website, marriagebuilttolast.com. We have a lot of events coming up. Just click on upcoming events. But we do want to tell you about Couples Fest 2021. We're super duper excited about it this year. We got a lot of exciting things happening. We're going to be having our page up in just a little bit with all the great things that will be happening. We're going to pull in some great speakers.
This is about the blueprint, right?
Yes, it's about building a blueprint for your marriage.
And when you think of blueprint for your marriage, the blueprint is laying the foundation. Watching it on paper and making sure it grows.
Planning out the foundation.
Planning out that foundation.
That's right.
Yes.
And then you got to build it. So we're going to help you build it from the ground up.
And
it's
if
like
you
build
build
a house.
It will last.
There you
Trust
go.
me.
So thank you guys for joining us. We love you guys. Thank you so much. You guys have a blessed and wonderful day. We look forward to hearing from you. God bless you. And we also want to tell you, if you're not connected with us, go over to Marriage Built to Last Movement and join our group so you can continue to follow us.
And that's Marriage Built, the number 2.
Lastmovement.com. Hopefully our helper put that in the feed, marriagebuilttolastmovement.com. Join our group and you can continue to follow us and see some of the things that we're doing. And our friends, we post the things that our friends are doing too.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Ruth Sauce and Dr. Buckingham and Minister Rochelle McAllister. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We appreciate you guys. We love you and we'll be in touch soon.
Have my Philly connection. I ain't from Tennessee.
Enjoy this first day of spring, everybody.
I'm taking your Philly card, Deidre.
Guys, go eat those. Take my Philly card, bro.
All right, guys. God bless you.
All right.
On the bottom. Better watch it.
Yeah.
Bye, Coleman. Thank you so much for all your great comments.
have a blessed evening.
All right.
You too. That was, oops. Let me do, end this broadcast.